Another compilation video of all our Fallout work here on the Constellations channel. 3.5 hours of unadulterated Fallout content coming your way. I just want to say thanks. Thank you for subbing and thank you for watching. You guys really don't know how much this means to us and we're super grateful. We won't let you down. By the way, we still have a ton of content on the channel not in this video. Even another almost 4-hour compilation completely unique to this one. So go check it out. P.S. I'm really proud of my co-hosts on this channel, and if you guys could show them some love in the comments, I would be forever grateful. Alright, sorry, that's it. Enjoy. The world of Fallout is different from our own, and did you know they refer to this as the Divergence? In the world of Fallout, we're not dealing with our own history, but rather an alternate universe that mirrors many historical events up until World War II. After that, it branches off into a retro-futuristic 1950s-inspired world of tomorrow. This setting is rich with vintage aesthetics and technology used to delve into humanity's ethics, beliefs, and our inherent relationship with violence. Tim Kaine, one of the creators of Fallout, expressed the game's essence perfectly, quote, "My idea is to explore more of the world, and more of the ethics of a post-nuclear world, not to make a better plasma gun." End quote. In the Fallout universe, you'll find household robots buzzing around, laser guns as a standard issue, and cars that look like 1950s Motorama concept vehicles but run on nuclear fusion. Their computers might seem primitive to us, resembling late 1970s models with basic graphics and limited memory, but they do have supercomputers like the Zack series that surpass our own. Fashion, architecture, and interior design all harken back to the 1950s, with Art Deco and Futurism dominating. The cultural vibe is steeped in this mid-20th century ethos, right down to the anti-communist propaganda that permeates the society, reminiscent of the Cold War era. The Fallout universe's technology is a fascinating blend of the old and new. Giant room-filling computers coexist with advanced robotics and compact nuclear fusion power generators. The focus was less on miniaturization and more on harnessing atomic power, leading to innovations like power armor and laser weaponry that still function centuries later. And that's precisely what we're going to be looking at in this video. Some of the most interesting tech that has come out of the Fallout series. Does it have a real-world counterpart, or is it wholly and truly unique to this strange universe? One of the great ironies in the Fallout universe is that humanity had discovered solutions to the resource wars but failed to distribute these advancements equally. This failure to share critical technologies led directly to the catastrophic wars that ultimately ended the world. Technologies like the matter replication seen in Big MT, advanced Gex, and the Sierra Madre casino could have prevented the conflicts if shared globally. If China and other nations had access to these innovations, the resource wars and the Sino-American War might never have happened. So what is a GEC, you may or may not be wondering? The GEC, short for Garden of Eden Creation Kit, is one of the most iconic pieces of technology in the Fallout universe. Imagine having the ultimate do-it-yourself kit capable of transforming a barren wasteland into a thriving paradise. That's essentially what the GEC does. It's designed to rebuild civilization from scratch. Packed with advanced technologies, it's like a high-tech Swiss Army knife for post-apocalyptic survival, with tools that can create fertile lands and jumpstart agriculture. It's a marvel of pre-war engineering designed to rebuild and revitalize devastated environments. The GEC can purify large quantities of water, removing radiation and contaminants. This is essential for making the water safe for drinking and irrigation, a crucial step in re-establishing a sustainable ecosystem. It has the capability to cleanse soil of radiation and toxins, making it fertile and suitable for growing crops. This feature is vital for agriculture, allowing survivors to cultivate food and ensure a steady supply of nutrition. The GEC also includes a variety of seeds and plant life, ensuring that once the soil is prepared, it can be quickly seeded with diverse flora. This helps create a balanced ecosystem and kickstarts the process of natural regeneration. Kit also provides essential materials and tools for building infrastructure. This might include basic shelter, storage facilities, and other necessary structures to support a growing community. The GEC can release beneficial microorganisms and bioengineered plants that help in restoring the natural balance of the ecosystem. These organisms can aid in breaking down pollutants and enriching the soil. Advanced GECs like those found in Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas may include various high-tech components, such as data libraries and automated systems to guide and assist in the rebuilding process. To use the GEC, you simply activate it in a suitable location. Once deployed, it initiates its processes, gradually transforming the surrounding area. Exact specifics can vary, but the end result is a lush, habitable environment, a new Garden of Eden in the midst of a nuclear wasteland. In essence, the Gek is the ultimate reboot button for the planet, packed into a portable, user-friendly kit. It's a testament to the ingenuity and hope of pre-war humanity, designed to give survivors the tools they need to rebuild and thrive. Geks have appeared in Fallout 2, 3, and 76. In Fallout 2, both Shady Sands and Vault City were built with the Gek. In Fallout 3, the Lone Wanderer has to find the Gek in Vault 112 in order to make Project Purity work. And in Fallout 76, a Gek could be found in Vault 94. It was destroyed due to unfortunate events, and the subsequent aftermath created what the Appalachian Wastelanders call the Mire. The Geks are incredibly interesting because they have the ability to restore life to its former glory. The science is iffy on these at best, but it's not completely unreal. We already purify water in the real world. We can also decontaminate soil. All the parts of the Gek are possible today. But how you fit those processes into a briefcase-sized piece of technology? Well, that's Fallout logic, baby. I wanted to cover this one next because the premise of this tech is similar to the Geks in the fact that the technology used could have impacted the resource wars tremendously. In fact, it could have ended them outright if it was shared, because seemingly these are matter transformation machines. The Sierra Madre vending machines were developed by the Big MT's Y0 Research Center and funded by Frederick Sinclair. Sinclair first saw the vending machines at a World's Fair and he was captivated. Determined to make these devices part of his luxurious casino, he invested heavily and made the villa a testing ground for the experimental technologies. These machines weren't just designed to dispense snacks and drinks, they were meant to provide emergency supplies such as food, medical items, and even security equipment, just in case of a nuclear disaster. However, access to these special supplies was restricted and required specific dispenser codes. While Sinclair touted the machines as a way to ensure self-sufficiency for the Sierra Madre, some believe they were just another way for Sinclair to monopolize profits by banning other vending machines. Employees felt the sting of this monopoly, often unable to afford the items dispensed by the machines with limited chips they earned. These vending machines use Sierra Madre chips as both currency and raw material. The chips act like batteries, powering the machines and providing the necessary materials to assemble various items. Different machines offer different supplies, ranging from food and cigarettes to medical supplies and weapon mods, especially after locating specific vending machine codes. Clever scavengers can even counterfeit these chips using fission batteries and scrap metal. After the Great War, the Sierra Madre's isolation left these vending machines as the sole survivors of their kind. For over 200 years, they remained operational, catching the eye of a rogue Brotherhood of Steel elder named Elijah. He saw the potential to use the Sierra Madre's technologies, including the vending machines, to reshape the world. To Elijah, these machines were more than just dispensers. They were tools that could provide unlimited resources, potentially building or destroying nations. The Sierra Madre vending machines essentially act like high-tech alchemists. They break down the chips and reassemble them into new items. The machines use these Sierra Madre chips as both the power source and the raw material. The chips are made from some simple alloys of common and fissionable elements, so they're not some fancy nanotech. The machines then use nuclear fission or fusion to transform these materials into useful items, from tools to food to prescription meds. You select what you want via a holographic interface that shows you the item you're buying. These machines were on the verge of bringing unimaginable prosperity to civilization just before the bombs dropped. They showcase the incredible technological heights humanity had reached and the devastating fall that followed. If we break it down even further, you insert the chip, energy then happens, item is then created. Simply put, no matter is really created or destroyed, just changed into a different state. In the real world, we're pretty far from this technology and it's probably still considered science fiction. But we can change matter using different processes, just not on this scale. For example, nuclear reactions like nuclear fission and fusion are processes that change the nuclei of atoms, transforming one element into another. High-energy particle accelerators can smash atoms together, transforming them into different elements or isotopes. And maybe one day, in theory, advances in quantum mechanics and nanotechnology might allow for precise control over atomic and molecular structures, potentially enabling more sophisticated forms of matter transformation. Regardless, it's incredible and interesting tech that is often overlooked in Fallout. Speaking of matter, and more precisely moving it over large distances in a matter of seconds, let's talk about the teleportation tech that exists in Fallout. And in fact, we have two different forms of it in the games. The Big Mountain Transportal Ponder is a special item in the game. It's not a weapon in the traditional sense, but more of a teleportation device. It was created as a prototype teleporter at the Big MT facility. It's used to quickly travel to and from the research facility, which becomes important after the train systems are destroyed. However, it has restrictions to ensure only non-threatening individuals can use it to go to Big MT. The courier can acquire the Transportal Ponder after certain events in the game. It kind of looks like a detonator, with an orange back casing and an aqua-colored clear glass top. When you use it, it teleports you from one of two locations, from the Mojave Wasteland to the Sink's Balcony, or from Big MT to the Mojave Drive-In. You can't use it while in combat or while falling, and you also can't have any active companions with you. It's also important to note that you can only teleport from specific locations in the Mojave Wasteland, not just anywhere exposed to the sky. You also can't use it to travel from other add-ons like Dead Money, Honest Hearts, or Lonesome Road. So yeah, it has a lot of limitations, and honestly, they don't really give us much of an explanation of how their transportation process even works. They can also use it without the Transportal Ponder, as they bring the courier to the Big MT using tech without the gun. And any biological material that passes their radar fence gets zapped back into the main area. Then we have the molecular relay from the Institute. This one is also not explained extremely well, but we definitely have more clues to how it works. So the Institute's teleportation is a bit of a mystery, but here's our best guess. They use a molecular relay that seems to work through the classical radio station. When you blow up the Institute, the radio station disappears as well. It seems like you can only teleport to and from the Institute using this classical radio signal, so as long as you're in range, you're good to go. However, there is a limit to how much radiation the teleporter could handle. This could be an explanation as to why they can't teleport all over the world. So basically, the molecular relay disassembles molecules and reassembles them wherever the classical radio station is broadcasted. Virgil explains this process to you, but then doesn't elaborate further than that. We also have the alien teleportation stuff from Fallout 3, but let's not dive into that. Teleportation in the real world remains firmly in the realm of speculation and imagination for now, as it would require technologies and understandings of physics far beyond our current capabilities. The developers at Bethesda are seemingly obsessed with the works of H.P. Lovecraft, and his ideas have slithered their way in almost all of their games. We aren't just talking about direct references like the Dunwich location or Pickman's Gallery. There's even more to explore beyond just that.
H.P. Lovecraft's works have an unparalleled ability to evoke cosmic horror, a genre that delves into the insignificance of humanity in the face of an indifferent, often malevolent universe. His richly imaginative mythos, filled with ancient eldritch beings and forbidden knowledge, taps into deep-seated fears of the unknown and unknowable. Lovecraft's dense atmospheric prose and meticulous world building create a uniquely immersive experience, drawing readers into a reality where the familiar becomes terrifyingly strange. This blend of existential dread and otherworldly awe has cemented Lovecraft's legacy as a master of horror, captivating and unsettling readers for generations.
Let's begin in Fallout 3. This game oozes with the influence of Lovecraft, and majorly so in the Point Lookout DLC. We'll head there shortly, but first, and surely the most fitting to talk about in the beginning, is the Dunwich building. A derelict building that you can find at the southwesternmost part of the map. Ronald Laren from Girder Shade will give you a warning to stay the hell away from the Dunwich building, because it has bad mojo. He is very right.
One thing I can tell you is stay the hell away from the Dunwich building to the south. That place is bad mojo. I don't know what that place is about, but I hear about weird shit going on.
Inside, you'll find a different world than you're used to when compared to other buildings in the Capital Wasteland. The atmosphere feels more dense. The light is lost to deeper and darker shadows hugging the corners of the walls. You'll find yourself hearing whispers kissing at your ears and imagining strange hallucinations of a bygone past. But is it really just your imagination? The interior of the Dunwich building is designed to evoke a sense of dread and unease, much like in the atmosphere of Lovecraft's works. Players encounter strange noises, hallucinations, and supernatural occurrences that contribute to a feeling of cosmic horror. You'll still have to face the very real and physical threats of the wasteland, as a bunch of ghouls will try to overwhelm you during the escapade. The ghouls can be seen as analogous to the monstrous beings and corrupted humans in Lovecraft's tales. The transformation and degradation of humans into ghouls reflects themes of corruption and the loss of humanity. As you traverse the building, you'll find logs from a man named Jamie who ventured into this place. As he explored the ruins, he found himself losing his mind slowly. You'll also discover information on the company that owned the building before the bombs fell, the Dunwich Boars LLC, which were a drilling company. They seemingly dug into something that they shouldn't have. Besides the fact that the name Dunwich is a reference to the Dunwich horror story from Lovecraft, there's a lot more to it. Down below the Dunwich building, you'll find a strange obelisk that is being worshipped by the ghouls. The closer you get to it, the more you hear its whispers. This obelisk exudes a malevolent presence, hinting at ancient and otherworldly powers. Common theme in Lovecraft's works, its power driving those around it to madness. And the most important references of all come from Jamie's final log, where he repeats the name Al-Hazred over and over again.
Sharp knife to send him to Deep Temple. Flay and say my words. Abdul comes again on the feast of the Weaker, feast for the Deep Temple. Born again, here. Al-Hazred! Yes!
Al-Hazred, as it happens, is the author of the fictional Necronomicon, which appears in many of Lovecraft's tales. He also repeats this in person when you find him as a ghoul worshipping the obelisk down below. He may even repeat a different name, Yeth, an homage to Relier, the underwater city in which Cthulhu and Old One waits dreaming. We aren't done with this place yet either, but we need to go and explore Point Lookout before we come back. Point Lookout features a swampy, isolated region filled with decaying mansions, eerie landscapes, and a pervasive sense of dread and mystery, similar to the environments often depicted in Lovecraft stories. The feeling of isolation and the unsettling atmosphere contribute to a Lovecraftian tone. The DLC delves into themes of the occult, with references to dark rituals, ancient tomes, and supernatural phenomena. These elements are staples of Lovecraftian horror, where the unknown and the eldritch play a center role in the narrative. The swamp folk with their inbred, mutated appearances and behaviors are reminiscent of the degenerate, isolated communities in Lovecraft stories, such as the inhabitants of Innsmouth in The Shadow over Innsmouth. These communities are often depicted as having fallen into corruption due to dark influences. The cult-like tribal religion in Point Lookout and the significance of the punga fruit can be seen as a nod to the strange, esoteric beliefs and practices found in Lovecraft's mythos, where ancient, often malevolent gods and rituals are central themes. But the most connected reference of all is the quest The Dark Heart of Blackhall. You begin the quest by encountering Obadiah Blackhall at Blackhall Manor. The Blackhall family, with its dark history and connection to the occult practices, echoes the themes of ancestral curses and forbidden knowledge. He asks the player to retrieve a book called the Krivbekne that has been stolen by a local cult. The book is in possession of a cult located in the Sacred Bog. This group of inbred and mutated swamp folk practices dark rituals. This ancient and malevolent tome is the centerpiece of the quest. Its dark power and the fear it inspires are reminiscent of Lovecraft's Necronomicon, a fictional grimoire filled with forbidden knowledge and spells. Upon retrieving the Krivbekne, the player can either return it to Obadiah Blackhall, destroy it, or give it to Marcella, a missionary who wants to destroy it to prevent its dark influence from spreading. Each choice reflects the moral ambiguity and the potential consequences of dealing with forbidden knowledge, a common theme in Lovecraft's work. Now remember when I said we would return to the Dunwich building? Well, this is it. For the only way to actually destroy the book besides Marcella is to take it back to the obelisk. You'll have to travel back down to the depths and reach the Forbidden Stone. Once there, the book will ignite into flames and incinerate all the surrounding ghouls. Your choice regarding the Krivbekne reflects the moral ambiguity and potential dangers of interacting with forbidden knowledge. In Lovecraft's tales, characters often face dire consequences for delving into the unknown, or attempting to use ancient powers.
Fallout 4, unlike Skyrim, is chock full of references and even has a continuation of a Fallout 3 story. The Dunwich Boars. Dunwich Boars is an old marble quarry located in the northeast corner of the map near the Salem area. The company that operated the quarry, Dunwich Boars LLC, has ties to a dark and mysterious past. The company's involvement in occult practices and its disregard for worker safety are reminiscent of Lovecraftian themes of forbidden knowledge and the pursuit of power at any cost. The location is shrouded in a dark, eerie atmosphere with misty surroundings and a general feeling of foreboding. This atmosphere is reminiscent of the mysterious and unsettling settings often found in Lovecraft stories, very similar to the Dunwich building. As players explore deeper into Dunwich Boars, they experience hallucinations and visions, hinting at the dark history and supernatural influence of the locations. These visions are reminiscent of the psychological horror often found in Lovecraft's works, where characters are driven to madness by their encounters with the unknown. In the lowest levels of the mine, you'll encounter an ancient sacrificial site as a direct reference to Lovecraft's themes of ancient malevolent forces lurking beneath the surface of the earth. You can find a unique sacrificial knife called Krem's Tooth. This weapon is associated with a ritualistic altar, further emphasizing the site's connection to dark, ancient practices. Let's move on to the Cabots, a family that lives in a beautiful home located in the town of North End in Boston, Massachusetts. It is a large, well-preserved mansion that stands out amidst the post-apocalyptic ruins of the city. The mansion is inhabited by the Cabot family, who are revealed to have an unusual and secretive history. The family has been alive for centuries thanks to a mysterious serum that grants them immortality. The Cabot house is home to several artifacts that are connected to ancient civilizations and otherworldly beings. These artifacts, such as a mysterious serum and the artifact in Lorenzo Cabot's possession, echo Lovecraft's themes of ancient, forbidden knowledge and artifacts that can alter reality. The Cabot family's immortality is attributed to a serum created from the blood of an ancient immortal being. Lorenzo Cabot is a central figure in the Cabot House questline. He is a powerful psychic who has been imprisoned due to his abilities. His story parallels Lovecraft's themes of individuals who are driven mad or imprisoned by their encounters with otherworldly forces. The artifact in Lorenzo's possession is revealed to be a piece of a mysterious alien spacecraft. This artifact grants Lorenzo and his family members powerful abilities, but also drives them into madness. This mirrors Lovecraft's stories where encounters with alien artifacts or entities lead to similar outcomes. The Cabot House questline delves into themes of cosmic horror, where the true nature of the universe is revealed to be vast, ancient, and indifferent to human concerns. This aligns with Lovecraft's portrayal of cosmic entities that exist beyond human comprehension. The Pigman Gallery in Fallout 4 is a location that draws inspiration from H.P. Lovecraft's short story, Pigman's Model. The Pigman Gallery is located in the North End neighborhood of Boston, Massachusetts. It is a small, unassuming building that houses the art collection of a painter named Pigman. Upon entering the gallery, players are greeted by a scene of horror, with gruesome paintings and evidence of violence scattered throughout the building. The paintings found in the gallery depict horrifying scenes of violence and the macabre. These paintings are reminiscent of the works of Richard Upton Pickman, the artist in Lovecraft's story who painted scenes of unspeakable horror. It is implied that Pickman is a cannibal who uses the body of his victims as subjects for his paintings. This aligns with the themes of degeneracy and grotesquerie found in Lovecraft's works. The basement of the Pickman Gallery contains a hidden area where Pickman keeps his victims' bodies. This hidden sinister space reflects the hidden horrors and secrets often found in Lovecraft's stories. Both Pickman in Fallout 4 and Pickman in Lovecraft's story are artists whose work is fueled by a dark, twisted vision. Their art reflects their descent into madness and their fascination with the grotesque. The paintings in the Pickman Gallery, much like Pickman's paintings in Lovecraft's story, blur the line between reality and nightmare, challenging the viewer's perception's insanity. Lastly, and a quick one, the Awesome Tales comics are extremely similar to the Astounding Tales comics written by H.P. Lovecraft.
We are going to be looking at every hidden and unmarked quest in Fallout New Vegas, and buckle in because there are over 80 in the game. A massive leap from the 6 in Fallout 4 and the 40 from Fallout 3. And this is only in the base game, no DLCs.
We're going to show you where you can find the quests and how to start them, and also giving you some background knowledge of what the quests pertain. There will be spoilers, so just a fair warning now. Also, we may skip a few if they involve official quests, as you'll most likely run across those on official business anyways. There's also several vaults considered unmarked quests, but we won't be counting those either, as it's just their entire premise of going to those locations in the first place. Enjoy, guys.
To begin this quest, you'll need to head to the Casa Madrid Hotel located in West Side, here. Calling it a quest is interesting, but it is defined as an unmarked quest. You can speak to Pretty Sarah and you will learn that there are 3 prostitutes for hire. Sweetie is a young female prostitute. She will sleep with men or women for 300 caps. Maud is an older woman. She will only sleep with men for 75 caps. And Jimmy is a male prostitute. He will only sleep with other men for 200 caps. Have fun. To begin this quest, you'll have to speak to Private Christina Morales, located here at the Camp McCarran concourse. Alright, so Private Morales has this rather grim request for her courier. She wants her dead husband, Esteban Morales, brought back to her. You start by heading south from Camp McCarran, following a marker on your map that leads you to Esteban's body northwest of the Repcon headquarters. Along the way, you might bump into an NCR trooper who gives you some tips on navigating the dangerous area, which is usually crawling with fiends and traps. Once you've located poor Esteban, you can lug his remains over to the nearby NCR camp to the northwest. After all that, when you break the news to Private Morales about her husband's fate, Dr. Kemp at camp cuts you a deal on his medical goods and services. Seems like a bit of a morbid errand, but hey, at least there's a discount involved, right?
Did you know that there's an unmarked quest in Prim at the Vicky and Vance Casino that actually deals with Vicky and Vance? When you stroll into the Vicky and Vance Casino in Prim, one of the first things that catches your eye is an old getaway car right in the middle of the place. This vintage ride belonged to Vicky and Vance, a pair of robbers who were kind of a big deal back in the day. You can walk around the car, check out the plaques that tell their story, and even take a peek at their costumes. If you want to dive deeper into the mystery, chat with Prim Slim. He's the robot in charge and can fill you in on some background info. To kick off this adventure, start by looking at the weapons display. If you notice that something's missing, tell Prim Slim about it. Then, if you've got a science skill of at least 50, you can use it to bypass a glitch in Prim Slim's memory, and then uncover a transcript that points you towards West Side. Head north of New Vegas to a big shack that serves as the Wind's hideout to continue the quest from there. If you happen to strike up conversation with Sammy and Pauline Winds inside the shack near West Side, you're in for quite a tale. These two spilled the beans that they were the masterminds behind the Vicky and Vance casino heist in Prim. But get this, they've got even bigger dreams. They're thinking of robbing all the casinos on the strip. Now you as the courier have a choice. You can either tell them straight up that their plan is absolutely bonkers, or if you've got some serious persuasion skills, a speech check of at least 55, you can convince them that they're onto something brilliant. If you fail the speech check or just tell them that their plan is doomed, they'll bid you a chilly farewell. But if you manage to talk them down, Pauline will start having doubts. And eventually, Sammy will spill the beans about how to open the safe holding Vance's 9mm submachine gun. On the flip side, if you're not feeling chatty, you can always just gun them down. But be warned, if you take this route, you'll need some serious lockpicking skills, 100 to be exact, to crack open the safe where the gun is stashed. But you'll also get some unique hats out of the deal. Choices, choices.
Since we were just talking about Prim, let's talk about another unmarked quest that starts here. Once you've brought peace and order back to the town of Prim, it's time for a little vacation. Well, sort of. You need to leave Prim for a different location and chill out there for 3 days, just to give the town some time to settle down. When you return to Prim's Vicky and Vance casino after this little hiatus, you'll be greeted by Layla and her gang of toughs. They've heard that Prim is ripe for the picking and want to get in on the action. A chat with Layla reveals that they're actually NCR deserters who bailed after hearing about the Legion getting cozy on the other side of the river. They lost all their money gambling and turned to raiding to survive. Now you've got a few options here. Use your gift of gab, speech skill of 30, to convince them that law and order have made a comeback in Prim. If you're feeling generous, you can pay them off with 100 caps. They'll settle for 50 if you're a bit short. Of course, there's always the option to settle things the old-fashioned way, a good old-fashioned brawl. Even if you manage to talk them down, you can still choose to fight. Just shell out their deserters, and the fists or bullets will start flying. Once you've dealt with Layla and her crew, the Vicky and Vance casino will reopen and start operating like a normal casino again. Ah, the sweet sound of slot machines and blackjack tables. The gist of this one is that you have to work for the Caesar's Legion and earn their trust until you get the liked status. Once you've integrated yourself with Caesar's Legion by completing their assignments and earning their respect, you'll eventually reach the coveted status of liked. This achievement unlocks the key to a Legion safe house, courtesy of Lucius, the leader of the Praetorian Guard. Inside the safe house, you'll find a treasure trove of Legion faction armor and weapons, perfect for any aspiring Legionnaire. Reaching like status can be achieved through various means, but one of the quickest ways is to turn in 50 dog tags to Severus or Aurelius of Phoenix. Alternatively, you can complete a few Legion quests, which may require less time than gathering 50 dog tags. If you're planning to side with the NCR, you can also pickpocket dog tags off live NCR troopers. This method causes no NCR fame loss and only minor karma loss if you remain undetected. Another sneaky tactic involves using the NCR emergency radio to call an NCR trooper, pickpocket their dog tag, wait 24 hours, and repeat the process. It's a bit shady, but hey, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Head here to the Repcon headquarters. To embark on this mission, start by snagging Jenny Millet's security card at the conclusion of the Repcon tour, courtesy of the tour guide robot. Use this keycard to unlock the first computer on the left of the locked door from the reception room. Once inside, head up to the second floor and locate another computer to gain further access. Your next task is to find all 3 key cards. This will grant you access to a locked room containing the Q35 matter modulator. If you don't find the keys to open the door, you'll need an impressive lockpick skill of at least 100. Alternatively, you can hack the wall terminal next to the door, but this requires a science skill of 100. Once inside, read all the terminal entries and deactivate the robots without alerting them or setting off any alarms. It's a delicate operation that requires finesse and skill, but the rewards are well worth the effort, as you'll gain access to the Q35 matter modulator, a unique plasma rifle that only uses 1 microfusion cell per shot instead of the usual 2, and it does more critical damage. This unmarked quest takes place in Vault 34. In the depths of Vault 34 lies a quest shrouded in mystery and danger. Your mission: locate 2 crucial passwords held by Vault 34 technicians. The Vault 34 security terminal password and the Vault 34 utility terminal password, hidden in the underwater sections. If you're not keen on getting wet, fear not. A high science skill can save the day by allowing you to hack the terminals near these watery areas to gain access instead. Once you've secured these passwords, the real challenge begins. Use them to unlock the armory from the Overseer's terminal, revealing a treasure trove of high-value weaponry. But be warned, your prize is guarded by ghoulified Vault security officers and Vault security guards, who are not keen on sharing. Prepare for a tough fight to claim your rewards and emerge victorious from the depths of Vault 34.
To start this quest, head to the mess hall located at Camp Forlorn Hope. Then you'll need to speak to James Sexton. He is trying to keep morale at an all-time high for the camp, and he figured the best way to do this was hold a contest. A contest of who could bring back the most Legionnaire ears. So basically, all you have to do is kill enough Legion soldiers to turn in at least 30 ears. Once you do that, he rewards you with 100 caps and 6 beers. Doesn't seem worth it, but if you already hate the Legion, then here you go. Former NCR Ranger Andy has a favor to ask of the courier: check on Ranger Station Charlie. However, upon arrival, a grim scene unfolds. The station has been decimated by Caesar's Legion, leaving no survivors. Among the wreckage, 2 holotapes are discovered. The first is tucked under a desk, while the second rests atop a nearby metal box. The first holotape captures the final moments of an unsuspecting ranger, documenting the impending attack. The second holotape features a legionary boasting about the raid, claiming it as a message to the NCR. Disturbingly, the legionary mentions capturing a female ranger. Returning to Andy with this grim news allows the courier to inform him of the Legion's brutal assault. A speech check of 60 enables the courier to deceive Andy, claiming the attackers were killed and remained unidentified. Regardless, the courier earns 100 caps, gains reputation with both the NCR and Novac, and receives instruction in a special unarmed technique, the Ranger Takedown. If the courier has previously discussed Andy's broken leg and passed a speech check of 30, they will already have learned the Ranger Takedown. In this case, informing Andy of the attack will yield a larger reward of 200 caps, rather than the standard 100 caps and the unarmed lesson.
We kind of spoke about this before in one of the earlier quests, but this quest begins by speaking to Aurelius of Phoenix at Cottonwood Cove. After chatting with Aurelius, he offers you a lucrative deal: a bounty on all the lives of NCR soldiers. To seal the deal, he requires NCR dog tags as proof of your kills. If you've got a barter skill of 35, you can negotiate the reward, changing it from caps to ammunition and/or supplies. For details on the ammunition and supplies, you'll need to speak with Decana Severus. To collect NCR dog tags easily, head to areas with a high NCR presence like Camp McCarran, Camp Forlorn Hope, Camp Golf, Hoover Dam, and the Mojave Outpost. Once you've gathered enough dog tags, return to Aurelius to collect your reward in caps for each dog tag. If you've managed the barter check, Decana Severus may offer to trade NCR dog tags for certain items and varying amounts of Legion fame. It's a risky venture, but if you're willing to hunt down NCR soldiers, the rewards can be substantial. It also adds a flair to role-playing characters that love to get more involved with factions. When you head to Good Springs Source, located here, and you approach the water trough, you'll come across Barton Thorn, who seems lost and desperate. He'll plead for your help to save his girlfriend, supposedly trapped by geckos. Barton will give you clear directions: head toward the broken radio tower, then turn right and follow the incline. As you climb, you'll come to a fork in the path with a few items like a refrigerator, bed, footlocker, and some loot. But watch out for the 3 bear traps. This area is also a wild wasteland trigger area, so expect the unexpected. At the top of the incline, you'll find no sign of anyone. As you head back down, Barton will suddenly appear, apologizing and admitting he only needed someone to clear out the geckos so that he could reach the stash. At this point, he'll turn hostile and try to kill you. If you kill him, the quest ends. It's a classic case of being deceived in the wasteland.
When you chat with Lindsay, a mini boomer at Nellis Air Force Base, she'll ask you to help find her missing teddy bear, Mr. Cuddles. Head to the hangar where Loyal and Jack work, and you'll spot a large pile of metal crates in the middle of the room facing northwest. Mr. Cuddles is nestled between 2 crates on the floor. Return the bear to Lindsay in either the children's barracks or schoolhouse and talk to her. Doing so will earn you fame with the boomers. Alternatively, if you've got a 60 speech skill, you can lie to Lindsay and tell her that Mr. Cuddles is no more. This heartless act will make her run away crying, resulting in infamy with the boomers and a hit to your karma. But how could you do that to her? This one is quick, but it'll take you a long time to pull off. Basically, the premise is that you have to win a certain amount of chips at each casino and be banned from them one by one. To get banned from gambling in every casino in the game, the player character must win a certain amount of money in each establishment by gambling. It's not just about the chips. In every casino, you have the opportunity to win 3 rewards before being banned. However, if you break the house limit before getting any of the 3 rewards, you'll be banned as usual, but won't receive the compensation rewards you missed out on. For example, hitting the max bet and winning the ×100 jackpot on a slot machine. Each casino has its own criteria for compensation rewards and the limit at which you'll get banned. Your luck attribute plays a significant role. The higher your luck, the more likely you are to win at blackjack, hit jackpots on slots, and win bets on roulette. For example, with a luck start of 10, if you have a 19 in blackjack, you can confidently double down, as there's a good chance of getting a 2. If you didn't choose luck for your character, well, that sounds like a personal problem.
To start this unmarked quest, chat with Colonel Sue, leader of the NCR's Camp McCarran, who will mention that the fiends are causing trouble. Once Sue mentions Motor Runner and a missing ranger, head to Vault 3, which is located west of Camp McCarran. Upon entering Vault 3, you have 2 options. You can fight through the Fiend's headquarters, which is tough due to their heavy weapons, or you can pass a speech check of 64 with a female Fiend at the vault door. Or you can even wear Great Khan's clothes to enter peacefully. Once inside, head left and follow the signs to the living quarters door. Inside, take the first left down a hallway. Be careful of the traps in this hallway. There's a dead Fiend killed by a booby trap, a landmine, and a grenade trap with a mine at the top of the stairs. Beyond the grenade trap, you'll find the missing ranger, Bryce Anders. He's hiding in a hidden area in the entrance hall. You can either help him complete his mission or betray him. If you choose to help him, you can heal his broken limb or convince him to work with you to kill Motor Runner. If you betray him, you can kill him outright or convince him to fight Motor Runner alone, which will then kill him and grant you negative karma. If Anders is convinced to leave and healed, he'll open a passage to Vault 3 entrance chamber and sneak out. This allows you to easily find the maintenance room where Motor Runner is located. To kill Motor Runner, you can battle through the fiends, use a stealth boy to stealthily kill him, or if you've completed Abadab Honeymoon, the fiends may remain non-hostile, letting you stealth kill them with silent weapons. After killing Motor Runner, retrieve his helmet and deliver it to Colonel Shu for NCR fame and caps. This one is basically just collecting a reward type of mission. If you have a mixed or liked Legion reputation, you will be stopped by Legion members who tell you supplies have been sent to Cottonwood Cove for you to collect. This happens about every 3 days. That's it. Yep, I know. Craziest unmarked quest you've ever heard.
Did you know there are sewers located near New Vegas, and did you know that there are also sealed sewers deeper in those sewers and that you can access them? To unlock the sealed sewers in the game, you need to find a key called Luke's Find. This key can be found on the bodies of 2 dead prospectors, Sweet Jill in the East Central Sewers and Blind Luke in the Central Sewers. You only need 1 key to unlock the sealed sewers. After obtaining the key, enter the sealed sewers and prepare to fight several feral ghouls. Upon defeating them, you can find the unique weapon called the Humble Cudgel on one of the prospectors. It's basically 2 pipes fused together, but it does 125% damage in bats. So get to bashing. This one is cute. You need to travel to the settlement of Sloan and find the adorable Snuffles the mole rat and speak with her. You'll learn that she is hurt and you can help fix her leg if you have the medicine skill to do so. 30 to be exact. Once you helped out poor Snuffles, you can speak to Lewis and let him know that she is healed and you'll gain some NCR fame, but more importantly, a new cuddly friend.
Sick of cuddly creatures? Good. Because of this quest, forget about the basic rights of animals in the wasteland. It's time to destroy. Head to the quarry here and face down the Deathclaw alpha male and the mother. Don't even contemplate the environmental ramifications of wiping out a potential endangered species. These things mean business, and you're about to stand on it. Once mission is complete, then head back to Chomps Lewis. You'll find him taking care of that naked rat he loves so much. Let him know what's done and collect your reward. Easy as mole rat pie, baby. This one is a whole lot, so I'm not going to dive into too much detail because we have a lot more to go. But basically, you need to head to Camp McCarran and speak to Contreras, who you'll find at the back of the terminal. They'll ask you to perform several favors for him, like speaking to someone outside of the gun runners, collecting medicine, and so on and so forth. You'll learn that Contreras is actually doing shady things, and you can either help him out or out him. Like I said, there's a lot more to this quest, so you should definitely seek this one out if you didn't know about it. And I'm kinda glad I'm not spoiling this one for you.
When you visit the War Memorial at Boulder City, you'll meet an NCR soldier named Private Kowalski. He's there to pay respects to his brother, who died during the first battle of Hoover Dam. If you aim or shoot at the memorial, Kowalski will become angry. You can choose to apologize with a speech skill of 30 or continue being disrespectful. If you insult him and his brother, you'll receive negative karma, and Kowalski will become hostile. Killing him this way won't make any other people hostile. If you don't apologize, you'll receive NCR infamy. Shooting at the memorial will make everyone, including Kowalski, hostile. Regardless of whether you've completed the quest or not, Kowalski will disappear after a few days.
The quest begins when you use the NCR emergency radio and choose to receive supply support. You'll be informed that the NCR has dropped supplies and the map will be marked with a location. All you have to do is travel there and collect the supplies, which can range from armor to weapons and ammunition, and yes, this is technically considered an unmarked quest. This quest is as straightforward as they come. Get yourself a shovel and start digging up graves at the Good Springs Cemetery for some loot. Don't worry, unlike in Fallout 2, you won't earn the title of Gravedigger here and your reputation remains intact. In these graves, you might stumble upon a valuable snow globe, which you can trade to Jane for a sweet 2,000 caps. You might also find some cigarette butts near your own grave, which could serve as damning evidence against the elusive Benny. But remember, the loot you find is random, so don't expect to hit the jackpot every time. If you've already kicked off the buy a campfire on the trail quest, watch out for a few pesky bloatflies and a bark scorpion lurking around the cemetery. Otherwise, it's just you, the graves, and maybe a curious raven or two. Happy digging!
At the heart of the Thorn lies a grand arena, encircled by cages housing wasteland creatures nurtured and managed by Red Lucy for arena battles. To organize custom fights, speak with Red Lucy and select the creatures and raiders to battle in the next match, as well as how many will compete on each side. Since breeding these creatures is costly and maintaining the fiends limited, you'll need to foot the bill for the custom match. If your betted team emerges victorious, you'll earn varied caps along with the bonus. To kick off the fights, chat with Red Lucy, choose Let's Talk About the Thorn, and inquire about the next match. You can also opt to battle the creatures yourself. After selecting your opponents and the number to face, you'll be sent in their arena cage. Your winnings depend on the creatures or fiends you combat. Battling 3 Deathclaws earns 500 caps, while 3 giant mantises yield only 30 caps, so get out there and test your mettle. When wandering through Freeside, you might spot a rundown building near Mick and Ralph's. On the opposite side, a Freeside thug might catch your eye, signaling you to follow him into an alleyway. If you choose to pursue, he'll lead you to a corpse between 2 dumpsters, initiating a conversation with, "Check it out, between the dumpsters there." At this point, you have 3 options in response, but no matter your choice, the thug and his 3 accomplices waiting at the alley's entrance will turn hostile. These thugs aren't particularly tough, armed with basic gear, and tend to flee rather than fight. If you manage to stealthily dispatch the signaling thug before entering the alley, the other 2 thugs will remain non-hostile, leaning against the wall with typical dialogue options. Here's a tip from me: always be mindful of where you're flogging. Just a general rule of thumb.
When you first chat with Julie Farkas about Freeside, she mentions that the followers of the apocalypse need a reliable supplier for medicinal ingredients. This kicks off the unmarked quest, Long-Term Care. To secure a steady stream of these supplies, you'll need to persuade James Garrett at the Atomic Wrangler to strike a deal with the followers. After convincing James, report back to Julie and convince her the Garretts are sincere in their desire to help Freeside in exchange for the followers' expertise. Once you've spoken with Julie, return to James, and he'll let you know that the supplies are on their way. Then go back to Julie to receive a substantial reputation boost with the followers. In the unmarked quest short-term treatment, you'll also need to donate some of your own Med-X, Radaway, or Fixer. Donating 10 packs of one type will suffice, but donating 9 packs in sets of 3 of one type will earn you an extra fame with the followers. You'll know the quest is complete when Julie informs you that the item you wish to donate is already being mass-produced, but she will accept it nonetheless. Following the donation, she'll offer you a discount on medical services or some magazines for sale. You'll also gain more reputation with the followers. If you're idolized by the followers through quests or additional donations, and the extra magazines are unlocked, you'll receive an invitation to join the followers, along with a discount if you haven't already received one from High Times. Ruby Nash, a kind elderly woman located in Prim, offers a unique quest involving her signature dish, a rad scorpion venom casserole. If you express interest in her cooking, she'll inquire about the number of rad scorpion poison glands you have. If you don't have any, she'll ask you to return once you've gathered some. When you have the rad scorpion poison glands in your inventory, Ruby will trade them for casseroles. The number of casseroles she offers depends on how many glands you have. Interestingly, her trading dialogue only allows you to back out or give her a bunch. If you have 5 or fewer glands, she'll exchange them at a rate of 1 gland for 1 casserole, 3 glands for 3 casseroles, or 5 glands for 5 casseroles. Oddly, she'll still accept 5 glands even if you only have 4. But for some reason she won't accept exactly 2 glands. You can resolve this by just dropping 1 gland before you even start the trade.
As you step into Camp Guardian, a crackling radio broadcast alerts you to Halford's plight. The mountain path is crawling with 3 to 4 pesky rad scorpions, and near the camp, you'll encounter a pack of giant rats. Search around Halford's tent to find a crucial journal scrap pointing to a hidden cave. Inside, a crate holds valuable C4 explosives and a trusted 9mm pistol. Thankfully, no lake lurks lurk along the way to Halford. Upon finding him in the caves, you notice a troubling blood puddle near his leg. If you're handy with the doctor's bag or have a medicine skill of 50, you can mend his injury. Grateful for the help, Halford rewards you with a pristine rifle, a note containing schematics for the dog tag fist, and urges you to deliver the note to his superiors. The Brotherhood of Still stumbled upon a troublesome holotape in their quest for tech, which infected their database terminals with a nasty virus. An annoyed scribe Ibsen asked the courier to swiftly partition the virus from 3 terminals within a tight 60-second window. To cleanse the terminals, the courier must locate the virus on each terminal and choose the option to isolate it. If the screen displays a jumble of letters and numbers, move on to the next terminal. However, if a mocking message appears, select the option to isolate the virus. The infected terminals are usually clustered together, making them easier to spot. Failure to clean all terminals in time requires the courier to seek Ibsen for a new countdown. A savvy courier with a science skill of 70 can suggest partitioning the virus when it jumps to a terminal, granting read-only access and permanently isolating the virus there, reducing the number of terminals to clean. For those skilled in repair, at least 60, fixing the circuit breaker on the western wall of the room allows for the option to power down all 4 terminals, making the hunt for infected ones more manageable. Interacting with the breaker can be tricky, so save beforehand to avoid complications. Remember, saving immediately after Ibsen warns of the virus's jump and after isolating it allows for consistent terminal locations upon reload, making the cleansing process smoother.
When you step into the Repcon headquarters, the cheerful tour guide will welcome you and offer you a tour of the facility. It's best to accept his offer and listen to his stories about each exhibit, including reading the plaques, until you reach the Solar System Room. Once the tour is over, head to the souvenir shop and storeroom, collect all the souvenir rockets you can find. By the end of your visit, you'll be a certified Rocketeer. 3 Caravanseers, Rick Lancer, Rachel, and Dennis, have found themselves in a tight spot, locked up by the fiends in Vault 3's living quarters. Rick's the one with the plan, but it's a grim one. Nobody's coming to pay a ransom, so their fate is pretty sealed unless someone lends a hand. He'll then point out to you Daniel, a fiend with the key, lurking in the sleeping area nearby. Adding to the intrigue, Rick mentions their late friend Carter knew the Overseer's computer password, hinting at hidden treasures. The courier can either play tough and force Rick to spill the password or agree to a jailbreak deal for the info. To spring the Caravanseers, the courier can either pick the cell lock or confront Daniel for the key. Once freed, Rick reveals the password and the trio makes a run for it, leaving the courier with a pat on the back. Well, figuratively. 100 XP richer and access to some sweet underwater loot stashes. It's a risky venture, but the rewards are worth the gamble. Plus, who doesn't love a jailbreak story?
The Boomer Jack can be found at the Nellis Hangars. He will give you the old classic Fallout quest of collecting scrap and bringing it to him. He won't reward you with caps though, just favor from the Boomers. Sounds great, right? Captain Parker at Aerotech Office Park is in need of some detective work, and he's looking to the courier for help. Suspecting Keith of underhand dealings, he asks them to snoop around Keith's gambling and drug activities. The task? Find Keith's deck of marked cards tucked away in a desk in Suite 200. If the courier's up for some smooth talking, they can chat with Keith directly. A barter check of 45 lets them buy some jet, while a speech check of 60 reveals Keith's system for winning a caravan. It's not crucial to the quest, but it adds some flavor to the investigation. Once the evidence is gathered and presented to Captain Parker, he rewards the courier with 150 caps. But there's a twist. Parker offers the chance to assist in Keith's arrest for an extra reward. Confronted by Parker, Keith's insults push the captain over the edge, resulting in a grim end for Keith. Talking to Parker post-incident earns an additional 100 caps, but it's a reminder that sometimes justice comes at a cost.
Head to the fort. Once at the fort, the courier can chat with Otho at the arena gate. Men are given the option to prove their mettle in combat, but women are just bluntly turned away, reminded of their place in the Legion's eyes. For those who take up the challenge, the rules are simple. Only a machete and gladiator armor are allowed. All other gear must be set aside. The arena boasts 3 rounds of escalating difficulty. The first pits the player against 2 slaves armed with machetes. In the second round, they face Sergeant Andrews, a captured NCR soldier also wielding a machete. The final challenge is Stella, a captured ranger who relies solely on her fists but is no less dangerous. After triumphing over all opponents, Otho acknowledges the player's skill, noting that nothing seems to pose a challenge. The combat concludes and the player's reputation with the Legion receives a favorable boost. While exploring Nellis Air Force Base, you might come across mini boomers, the children of the boomers tribe. They're usually found near the children's barracks and schoolhouse, but occasionally gather in larger groups near Raquel's observation post and the nearby howitzer. Although these mini boomers don't have individual names, some of them offer unique dialogue options that can affect your reputation with the boomers. Interacting with them reveals responses inspired by characters from Skill magazine covers, or adapted versions of children's games and themes from the Fallout universe. To unlock their positive dialogue options, you'll need a charisma of 7 or higher. Additionally, having a rocket souvenir or a dino toy in your inventory during the conversation can lead to special interactions, depending on which mini boomer you're talking to. On the other hand, carrying bubblegum or psycho in your inventory allows for negative dialogue choices, regardless of your charisma level. Once you've chosen a speech option with a mini boomer, they won't offer any more interactive dialogue for the rest of the game. However, you can always talk to them again later if you back out of the conversation without choosing a special option.
On the North Vegas Square, you'll find a man named Jules. When you first engage Jules in conversation, he's cautious about talking to someone like you. However, if you pass a 50-gun skill check, you can complement his revolver skills, which pleases him and sparks his interest in getting to know you better. If you further impress him with a skill check of 60 survival, you can use the dialogue option, "I'm one with the land." Jules will respond by acknowledging that he's found an equal and reward you with the 44 SWC hand load schematic. After successfully completing the quest Aunt Misbehavin', return to Raquel at Nellis Air Force Base. She'll mention another job for you, gathering missiles. These are in high demand and the base is running low. She'd be grateful if you could bring some back. You can find missiles by scouring the Mojave wasteland or purchasing them from vendors like Alexander at the 188 trading post, though the latter option may be less profitable. High-level areas or enemies like sentry bots are more likely to have missiles. You can also find a few missiles on the base itself. Return to Raquel with the missiles to gain more fame with the boomers.
Colonel James at Camp McCarran is concerned about the quality of the mess rations, among a few other issues. NCR troopers around the camp also express dissatisfaction with the food. Yet none of this dialogue is actually even necessary to start this quest. You just need to speak with William Farber. The mess hall, run by Corporal William Farber, is suffering from a lack of edible meat and spices to improve the menu. Farber also needs help fixing the food processor to save supplies. You can find spare parts for the food processor all around the Mojave wasteland. Farber will then reward you with discounts on his food for each task completed. If you ask Farber about spices, he'll mention the Crimson Caravan merchants. The food additive he needs can be found on the food production level of Vault 22. Farber also provides a list of potential meat suppliers: Blake at the Crimson Caravan Company, Ruby Nash at Prim, and Fitz at the Grub and Gulp rest stop. Each vendor has 2 success tiers, depending on how you convince them, with higher tiers leading to higher rewards. Farber will discount his food inventory at each stage, with the highest discount being at 28% for completing all objectives and convincing all 3 meat vendors with their respective highest tiers. Talk to Ralph at Mick and Ralph's in Freeside. After discussing his special services, he can offer you something, but only after you've impressed the king or passed a speech check of 50. Dig deeper to discover that Ralph is crafting counterfeit passports. He offers you one for 500 caps, or with a barter skill of 50, 375 caps. Once obtained, you can use it to pass the credit check at the Strip North Gate. 50 named NPCs in the game, and 6 of those are returning characters from past games in the franchise. Does that number seem more than you expected, or less? The truth is, if you've been a Fallout fan for a long time now, you're mostly used to not seeing characters return from older games. It doesn't really happen in this franchise. In fact, if we don't count the 6 from Fallout 4, then there are only 4 others left from the other games. So for Fallout 4 having the majority of returning characters featured in its story is a rare sight for Fallout, and one I want to explore more. Let's start with someone that isn't the most well known, and if you aren't an avid Fallout 3 fan, you may have missed her. Sierra Petrovita is the ultimate Nuka-Cola fanatic you'll first meet in Fallout 3. Living in the small, quirky settlement of Girdershade, she stands out amongst the grim and dangerous area of the capital wasteland with her boundless energy and infectious enthusiasm for everything related to the iconic soft drink. Girdershade isn't exactly a bustling metropolis. It's basically 2 shacks and a whole lot of Nuka-Cola memorabilia, all thanks to Sierra. You'll find her in her cozy memorabilia-packed home, which is a shrine to Nuka-Cola. The place is adorned with bottles, signs, and even Nuka-Cola themed furniture. Her neighbor and the only other person living there is Ronald Laren. He's not really worth our time to talk about, but just know that he has a thing for Sierra and he gets weird when you talk about her. When you first meet Sierra, she's bursting with excitement about her newest obsession, Nuka-Cola Quantum, the glowing, extra caffeinated variant of the classic drink. She needs your help to collect 30 bottles of this rare beverage for her collection. Thus begins the Nuka-Cola Challenge quest. Everyone who has played Fallout 3 knows this quest extremely well at this point. You either love it or you hate it. Sierra became a fan favorite from the game not because of her quests or anything like that, but because of her juxtaposition to the world around her. Exploring the dark and often scary areas within the capital wasteland and then running into Sierra felt entirely insane. I mean, how can this person exist in this world? Where you'll find the most horrifying location in the wasteland, the Dunwich building, just a few clicks south from where she lives. Next thing you know, you're talking to this overenthused fanatic that worships a soft drink from a bygone era like it's a cult.
Oh my! It's like a tidal wave of flavor washing all over your body. Your head spins, but everything is clear at the same time. It's quite a rush. Addicted? Why would you say that? I can stop drinking it anytime I want. That's so silly to think I would get hooked on the most delicious soft drink ever devised by man.
I guess that's just Fallout in general. So why bring her back to Fallout 4 and where? What is she doing? Honestly, it all makes sense when you find her strolling around the Nuka World Park in the Nuka World DLC. You'll find her in Nuka Town, USA, the entrance area of Nuka World Amusement Park. She stands out among the ruins of the park with her bright-eyed excitement and relentless dedication to her Nuka-Cola passion. Her excitement has only grown for the drink over time thanks to the Lone Wanderer in Fallout 3. She's on a mission now to discover a secret related to the park's founder, John Caleb Bradburn. This quest, aptly named Cappy in a Haystack, is a scavenger hunt that takes you through the various themed areas of Nuka World. The fact that she traversed God knows how many miles and wastelands just to reach Nuka World, that's run by raiders by the way, shows true dedication to her craft. Sierra's love for Nuka-Cola even extends to her clothing and accessories, which are even more elaborate than before. So what happens with the quest she gives you this time? I won't spoil a lot of it because it's a fun quest and that's not what this video is about, but basically the quest culminates in a thrilling discovery. Unlocking a hidden door with the collected Cappy images leads you to Bradburton's office, where you uncover fascinating lore about the creator of Nuka-Cola and the park itself. The payoff is not just in the rewards, but in the rich backstory and lore that as fans of the series, we learned a lot about the origins of Nuka-Cola. You then receive the original Nuka-Cola recipe, and you can give it to Sierra. The ultimate prize for the ultimate Nuka-Cola fan. Maybe we'll see her again in a future game. Maybe she used the formula to restart manufacturing of the drinks, and she becomes this big tycoon. Who knows? Next is a character that has been with us through every mainline game. Sort of. I'm talking about Dogmeat. In the harsh, unforgiving landscape of the post-apocalyptic wasteland, there's one companion who stands out as a beacon of loyalty and courage. This isn't just any ordinary dog. Dogmeat is a legend in his own right, an icon of survival, and the ultimate wasteland sidekick. Dogmeat is a German Shepherd, or sometimes an Australian cattle dog, depending on the iteration, with a keen sense of adventure and an unwavering loyalty that's hard to find in the wasteland. He's not just a pet, he's a partner, a protector, and a friend who's always ready to leap into action. But I can already hear you typing a comment about how Dogmeat is not a returning character because he's different iteration in each game. Yeah, that's true, but also not. Maybe? In specifically Fallout 1 to 2, Dogmeat is exactly the same dog. Except it's kind of weird because when you find him in this bar in Fallout 2, the characters there are breaking the fourth wall and he's supposed to be dead because of the time difference, but it's definitely him. In Fallout 4, he returns, but is he the same dog from 1 and 2? I don't know. We know it's not the same Dogmeat from 3 because she is a different breed. He never gives us any clues to discern anything besides his name. But I think it is odd that we meet so many German Shepherds with this same name. There are many theories as to why this is. The first is that maybe it's a common name to give dogs in the wasteland that are strays, almost like a placeholder. If that's the case, then how does the lone survivor know this when meeting Dogmeat just barely after leaving the vault? I guess you could say that they didn't find him for a while, but we have to assume a lot of things in that scenario. Another theory is he's an eldritch being. No, I'm not joking. Fallout is full of Lovecraftian lore, and it's been brought up a few times. My personal favorite theory, and the biggest eye roller because it's always the failsafe, is that Dogmeat might be a synth. It would make a lot of sense that the Institute would want to keep their eyes on important targets in the wasteland, and what better way to do it than having those targets find a loving companion? What do you guys think? Regardless, here he is again in Fallout 4. Another character from Fallout 3, and you'll start to see a pattern with this, probably because a huge part of 3 has flown its way to the Commonwealth. Dr. Madison Lee is a key character in Fallout 3, renowned for her brilliance and her pivotal role in the game's main storyline. As a highly skilled scientist, she's an integral part of the Capital Wasteland's efforts to purify its irradiated water supply. She has a strong background in advanced physics and engineering. She was originally part of a team working on the groundbreaking project known as Project Purity, led by James, the father of the Lone Wanderer. Project Purity aims to create a device capable of purifying the Capital Wasteland's water supply, a critical endeavor in a world where clean water is scarce. After James's disappearance, Madison Lee continues to work on Project Purity, although the project faces significant challenge and eventually stalls. When the Lone Wanderer begins searching for their father, they encounter Dr. Lee, who provides crucial information and support in locating James and reviving Project Purity. So how does she end up in Fallout 4? After the events of Fallout 3 and the completion of Project Purity, Dr. Lee becomes disillusioned with the Brotherhood of Steel and the overall situation in the Capital Wasteland. She's seeking a place where her scientific work can continue unimpeded. She relocates to the Commonwealth and joins the Institute, an advanced technological enclave hidden beneath the ruins of the Commonwealth. Maybe this was due to Dr. Zimmerman from Fallout 3, an Institute scientist that could be found in Lee's lab. He was on a mission to find a rogue synth that had escaped. Maybe explain more details about the Institute, and that is why she sought them out. Dr. Lee's skills and knowledge remain unparalleled. In the Institute, she's involved in high-level research and development, contributing to some of the most advanced scientific projects in the post-apocalyptic world, including synthetic humanoids and other technological marvels. She can be persuaded to leave the Institute if the player convinces her that her work is being misused, or if they remind her of her previous life and the ideals she once stood for. This decision significantly affects the dynamics between the Institute and other factions, particularly the Brotherhood of Steel. It's interesting to see what she once stood for and what she believes in now. Since we're on the topic of the Brotherhood, it seems only right to bring up Arthur Maxon, another returning character from Fallout 3. I won't dive into him too much because 1, he for sure is the most talked about character from Fallout 4, probably to death at this point. And 2, because there's a lot to go over with Maxon, which probably deserves its own video. In Fallout 3, Arthur Maxon is a young boy with a significant heritage, destined for a critical role in the Brotherhood of Steel's future. Though his presence in Fallout 3 is relatively minor, his background and lineage are noteworthy within the lore of the Fallout universe. Arthur Maxon is the last known descendant of Roger Maxon, the founder of the Brotherhood of Steel. Born into the Brotherhood's Eastern Division, Arthur Maxon's lineage makes him a figure of great importance, even from a young age. You can find Arthur Maxon at the Citadel, the Brotherhood of Steel's headquarters in the capital wasteland. He's usually seen in the company of the Brotherhood's scribes, or other members who are responsible for his upbringing and education. He's a good kid here, a lot different than the Maxon that we meet in Fallout 4. The pressure of living up to his legacy must have really weighed heavy on him and created this new person. I'm sure his whole life he was told how important he was and how much lines changed the Brotherhood. This would then lead to his new ideology. In Fallout 4, Arthur Maxon has grown from the young boy seen in Fallout 3 into a formidable and influential leader. His transformation into the youngest elder of the Brotherhood of Steel marks a significant evolution in his character and the organization's direction. Arthur Maxon's journey to leadership was marked by numerous trials and successes. He proved his combat prowess and strategic acumen in various engagements, earning respect and recognition from his peers and superiors. Arthur was appointed elder at a remarkably young age, the youngest in Brotherhood history. His appointment was not merely symbolic, it was a recognition of his capabilities and the respect he commanded within the organization. Elder Maxon rules with a firm hand, emphasizing discipline, strength, and the Brotherhood's core mission to reclaim and protect advanced technology. His leadership style is authoritative and uncompromising. Under Maxon's command, the Brotherhood becomes more aggressive in its approach. He advocates for a proactive stance in securing technology and eliminating threats, including super mutants, synths, and any group opposing the Brotherhood's goals. His entire goal for coming to the Commonwealth is to destroy the Institute and their monstrous technology. But is he really? Maybe he really does care about synths becoming a major problem, but I think he's more concerned about competition. And the Institute is probably his biggest on the East Coast at this point. Now, we can't talk about the Brotherhood, expansion, and power without our next returning character. Liberty Prime is a massive humanoid robot in the Fallout universe, known for its formidable combat abilities and patriotic fervor. Originally developed by the United States military before the Great War, Liberty Prime was intended to be a weapon of war against communist China. However, it was not completed in time to see action before the war devastated the world. In Fallout 3, Liberty Prime plays a crucial role in the Battle of Project Purity, where it leads the charge against the Enclave forces, ultimately helping the Brotherhood of Steel and the Lone Wanderer secure the facility and defeat the Enclave. In Fallout 4, set several years after the events of Fallout 3, the Brotherhood of Steel and the Commonwealth manages to rebuild and reactivate Liberty Prime. It is used once again as a weapon against the Institute. The sheer spectacle of Liberty Prime's size and firepower, combined with its patriotic dialogue, has made it a fan favorite among Fallout players. Speaking of fan favorites, let's talk about McCready. McCready is a character from Fallout 3 who can be found in Little Lamplight, which is a settlement of children in the capital wasteland. McCready is one of the older children in Little Lamplight, and is seen as a bit of a troublemaker by the other residents. Despite this, he is respected for his skills and resourcefulness. And when you first meet him, the mouth on him may surprise you. He became mayor of this little odd town, and ever since then, he's been protecting the other children from the harms of the wasteland. But Little Lamplight has a strange ritual. When you turn 16, within the town you're now considered an adult, and you must leave the settlement. That's what happened to Robert McCready, and he set forth on a new adventure. Along the way, he met Lucy, a woman who became his partner in life. Lucy supported McCready through the toughest times in the wasteland, giving him the strength to face its horrors. Despite his love for Lucy, McCready hid his true nature as a hired killer, telling her he was a soldier. He carried this lie with shame, regretting his lack of courage to confess the truth before her untimely death. Lucy and McCready had a son, Duncan, and for a while the family did find happiness. Tragedy then struck when they camped at an abandoned metro station infested with feral ghouls. Before McCready could defend them, the ghouls attacked, killing Lucy. McCready was then forced to flee, leaving her behind to save Duncan and himself. He has since questioned whether he should have stayed and fought to the bitter end. Left alone with Duncan, McCready made a promise to be a better person, starting with giving up cursing. They settled down and McCready abandoned his mercenary life. The family found peace as McCready worked the land and watched his son grow. However, their happiness was short-lived. Duncan fell ill with a mysterious disease, and despite McCready's efforts to find a cure, the illness worsened. Unable to find help, McCready entrusted Duncan to his friends and set out to seek a cure, feeling lost and desperate. As mercenary work dried up in the capital wasteland due to the Brotherhood of Steel's increased presence, McCready's quest for a cure led him north to the Commonwealth. Arriving in a region where the Gunners were actively recruiting, McCready saw an opportunity to amass more money for his ultimate goal. However, the gunner's ruthless tactics and disregard for collateral damage clash with McCready's moral code and the promise he made to his son. Breaking ties with the gunners in 2287, McCready sought to resume his career as a freelance contractor. Shortly after parting ways with the gunners, he met Sinclair, who shared this quest for a cure. Sinclair revealed that the MedTech laboratories might have a universal cure at its Medford facility, providing McCready with a lead. Sinclair, unable to pursue this lead due to personal loss, entrusted McCready with the MedTech security codes before leaving. And that's pretty much how you find him in Fallout 4. He is definitely one of the most fleshed out characters in any Fallout game. And it's really interesting watching him go from this fiery little bastard in Fallout 3 to a complex and sad character that we find in Fallout 4. Last on the list, and one of the most iconic characters in all of Fallout. A character that has been found in every single Fallout game to this day. The Mysterious Stranger. The Mysterious Stranger is a recurring character in the Fallout series, known for appearing suddenly to aid players in combat when they have the Mysterious Stranger perk and use VATS. He's described as an odd and eldritch entity, often appearing just before the player's death to assist them with his signature .44 Magnum revolver. Mysterious Stranger is a mysterious figure who has been seen throughout the wasteland following the Great War. He's always depicted wearing a trench coat and a hat, adding to his enigmatic nature. The Stranger appears unexpectedly to certain individuals during combat, helps them, and then disappears without a trace. We basically have zero information on this guy. And just like Dogmeat, there are hundreds of theories as to who he is or what he wants. I'll tell you right now, it doesn't matter whose video essay or whatever you've watched on this character, absolutely no one knows any major details about this person. Of course, he shows up in Fallout 4 yet again. This time, we do get some acknowledgement of his existence beyond our own perception. By 2287, the synth detective Nick Valentine has built a case file investigating the Mysterious Stranger. He believes the Stranger has been active in the Commonwealth and the Capital Wasteland, but considers his presence in the West and the NCR as old rumors. This confirms that he is a real thing, a canon thing. His looks do change a bit from game to game. Not by much, but there are some differences. Like in Fallout 4, he has a mustache, and he never did before that. Some interesting theories suggest he's a godlike being within the Fallout universe, or that the Mysterious Stranger title is a mantle for others to take up over the generations, or that he's a synth. What's your guys' personal theory? I think we can exclude that he's a ghoul. I often hear that one a lot. Obviously, you can tell he is not. But this video isn't about the Stranger. We can talk about that another time.
Fallout is a never-ending wasteland saga where the desert can be cruel, but personal finances can be crueler. In a world where bottle caps, rare loot, and super mutant kill counts represent one's net worth, Fallout can feel like the world is turned on its head, and in all reality, it is. How valuable is an ancient relic like a metallic bottle cap, and what is it really worth in today's modern society? To answer this age-old question of what is a bottle cap worth, let's compare it to a real-world currency, the US dollar. To preface this analysis, we will compare Fallout 4's cap to dollar with items that are both in-game and in the real world. Additionally, we will assume that a player's charisma is undeveloped entirely, as well as having no points in bartering either. Let's start with a few everyday common goods, such as purified water, a stim pack aka medkit, a pistol, also known as a Glock, 20 rounds of 10mm ammo for said pistol, clothing like the iconic blue jumpsuit, good old-fashioned pork and beans, Brahmin, which is essentially a mutated cattle with 2 heads, some squirrel on a stick, a haircut, a brewski, whiskey, and dare I say it, a lady of the night? In this quick and dirty analysis, we chose common vendors that players will find in central cities because centralized commerce would inherently have the most traffic on a daily basis, resulting in the most averaged out prices a wasteland wanderer would find. In Fallout, purified water is essential in restoring health. It can be applied to questions and NPC interactions, and can be traded with merchants or beggars to improve your karma, which can occasionally lead to additional storyline developments or additional rewards. Importantly, it's also a trade item for Fallout's primary currency, metal bottle caps. In Fallout 3, a single purified water's value is approximately 20 caps. However, in Fallout 4, where water scarcity differs, we actually find that water can be cheaper depending on the area due to basic microeconomics, ergo supply and demand. But initially in Diamond City, you can find it as high as 67 caps a bottle from a trader named Myrna. This makes our analysis a little muddy, but we'll go ahead and include these differences due to geographic discrepancies anyway. Coming back to present-day America, we find that in 2024, our basic plastic-infested Nestle water at a local come-and-go, yes, that's a real gas station name, is $1.50. Using basic division, we can take the real-world US dollar amount and divide it by the in-game bottle cap price to give us a dollar per bottle cap price, or in layman's terms, it tells us how many dollars or cents a bottle cap is worth in exchange for this good. Thus, our water exchange rate is 2.2 cents per bottle cap for a commodity like water. Interesting. Stim packs are a versatile healing source in our beloved saga. Though they cannot cure radiation poisoning, nor heal addictions, nor cure diseases, they do restore health. They heal injuries, and they can ease your radiation poisoning in New Vegas if you use perks in combination with them. Stim packs are a more badass run-of-the-mill medkit we see in modern society today. In Fallout 4, a stim pack is going to cost you a girthy 161 caps if you go to Dr. Sun in Diamond City located in Fenway Park. And this 161 cap cost rings true if you speak with Myrna, whom is a basic trader in Fallout 4. This is actually a 313% increase from Fallout 3's cost of 39 bottle caps. Talk about hyperinflation. However, a first aid pack in today's world will cost you an average of $30, and that's assuming you don't spend a premium price for name brand American Red Cross kits. Who knew there were name brand first aid? These 161 caps to $30 price point in health supplies suggests an 18.6 cent per cap conversion. Weaponry and mechanisms of mass destruction are what help facilitate the Fallout universe to begin with. With this in mind, it is only fitting that we add a weapon to this cap value analysis. In Fallout 4, the most basic and commonly found pistol is a 10mm pistol. This firearm is a staple in the early stages of the game and often accompanies players as their first reliable ranged weapon. The 10mm pistol is one of the first weapons the player encounters after leaving Vault 111. It can be found on various enemies and in many locations throughout the Commonwealth. Despite being a basic weapon, the 10mm pistol is highly customizable at weapon workbenches. Players can modify it with different receivers, barrels, grips, magazines, and sights to enhance its performance, including adjustments for damage, range, accuracy, and handling. The 10mm pistol serves as a reliable and efficient firearm for players starting out in the harsh world of Fallout 4, and its widespread availability ensures that it remains useful throughout various stages of gameplay. However, 10 years ago from the Fallout 4 analysis, a cockroach-gnawing citizen could purchase a standard pistol from their local radioactive trader for roughly 20 caps, but this was before the rest of the Hills Have Eyes cast wised up and decided to pack heat throughout the wastelands. Once demand spiked in the last 10 years, the Fallout 4 universe started seeing prices breach 168 caps for a piece. Despite the 740% increase in pistol cost in the last 10 years, I personally find this to remain an absolute steal at the end of the day, given the state of the world in 2287. I myself went to my local gunsmith, shout out Freedom Firearms in Las Vegas, to get a price on a pistol and found myself with a choice to make. Purchase a Glock for $600 or go back to Fallout 4 and purchase one for 168 caps instead. I chose the latter. This puts our dollar to bottle cap price at $3.57, which places our standard pistol as the highest conversion factor in our analysis thus far. With every weapon piece that a Lonely Wanderer has, that weapon piece is really only as good as the ammo that gets placed in the chamber. If you visit a man named Arturo in Diamond City, you will find that ammo in the Hellscape will run you $140, which is slang for 140 caps. This assumes you buy a 20-round mag, which is approximately 7 caps a round. In the real world, most hunters or firearm professionals will buy their ammo in bulk and are unlikely to purchase ammo at a mere 20 rounds. After all, we're Americans that like to shoot shit and blow things up, so with that said, we typically buy ammo in larger quantities. If we take the average amount purchases in today's dollars, we'd calculate roughly a $20 purchase price per 20 rounds of 10mm ammo. This places our dollar per bottle cap amount at 14.3 cents, which is in line with our stim pack conversion amount. If you've ever visited the deep south of America, you'd quickly find that animals of all types are cooked, ranging from alligator, snake, and yes, even squirrel. So is it really a shock to find that squirrel on a stick made it to the list of items that we're going to comp? Squirrel on a stick is a consumable food item that the player can find throughout the game world. It's essentially a cooked piece of squirrel meat skewered on a stick, serving as a quick source of nourishment for the player character. Consuming a squirrel on a stick provides the player with a small amount of health recovery. In survival mode, it also reduces hunger, making it a practical choice for staving off starvation. Like many food items in Fallout 4, Squirrel on a Stick typically carries a small amount of radiation, which can accumulate and affect the player's health unless countered with items that reduce radiation. This item can be found in various locations, such as in containers, on enemies, or at a vendor stall. It can also occasionally be looted from creatures or environments where squirrels might be found. Players can also craft Squirrel on a Stick at cooking stations if they have the necessary raw squirrel meat and a cooking station available. Squirrel on a Stick, along with many other quirky and sometimes grim food items, underscores the game's post-apocalyptic setting where traditional food sources are scarce, and inhabitants must make do with whatever they can scavenge or hunt, even if it means eating irradiated animals. The going rate for Squirrel on a Stick is 50 caps, but if you buy Squirrel by the bit, it will run you 13 caps per bit sold by Poly in Diamond City. Squirrel by the bit is actually more than a single round of ammo, meaning if you never missed a shot with a 10mm bullet when hunting fresh squirrel, you'd profit 6 caps per squirrel. The going price for squirrel in the real world, per the exotic meat market, is roughly 100 bones. This places our dollar per bottle cap amount at $1.92 when purchasing hot, fresh Squirrel on a Stick. If you get tired of non-nuke potatoes or zesty squirrel, you can always rely on pork and beans. Eating pork and beans provides a player with a moderate amount of health restoration. It's a convenient food source for a quick health recovery when other resources might be scarce. As with many preserved food items in Fallout 4, consuming pork and beans results in a small amount of radiation being absorbed by the player. This reflects the contaminated environment of the game world, where even sealed food items are not entirely free from radioactive contamination. Pork and beans can be found in many places across the Commonwealth, including supermarkets, homes, abandoned buildings, and other locations. Pork and beans in Fallout 4 represents the type of durable, long-lasting food that has become a staple in the diets of the game's survivors, illustrating the reliance on canned and packaged goods in a world where fresh food is a rarity. At 34 caps a can, and for about $1.50 in real-world terms, we see the dollar per bottle cap nested around 4 cents today. This assumes a generic brand of the canned food today. But if we think about the fact that Fallout 4 takes place over 200 years after the initial dropping of the bombs, is it really a wonder that generic pork and beans would be some of the last food the world would want to eat? In a world where most food sounds rancid or downright awful to eat, Brahmin is arguably the best sounding food in the Fallout 4 market. Brahmin are mutated cattle with 2 heads and udders. They are one of the most common livestock animals found throughout the post-apocalyptic world. The mutation likely arose as a result of the widespread radioactive fallout following the Great War, which took place in 2077. Brahmin serve several practical purposes in the game world, including providing meat, milk, and hides, which are essential for survival. Brahmin are also used as caravans and are often used to carry supplies and trade goods between settlements. Brahmin also help in farming as they can be used to plow fields, similar to their pre-war ancestors. More importantly, Brahmin are a symbol of how life adapts in the Fallout universe, showing resilience and utility even in drastically changing circumstances. In my opinion, they contribute to the series' distinctive blend of post-apocalyptic and retro-futuristic elements, often with a touch of dark humor regarding their dual-headed nature, and for only 100 caps, they might be the best bang-for-your-buck item in the Fallout universe. This item may paint the biggest contrast versus real-world heads of cattle that can cost north of $2,400 in today's value system, and that would be assuming you bought the cattle in bulk from Stewart Ranch, Texas. This would also skew our analysis by suggesting that a dollar cap would be priced closer to $24 per cap. For that reason, I will not be including this item in our overall analysis, as it would weight our total dollar per bottle cap disproportionately. Still, one can't help but wonder how good Brahmin probably tastes. Many characters in Fallout 4 can be found with a beer bottle in hand. Is this to add to the environment's humorous yet bleak tones? Is this because most of the characters are perishing from internal cancerous tumors caused by governments of the old? Or is this simply because it brings us gamers back to our prepubescent days of escape? I don't know. But what I do know is that a Henry Cook is a bartender that can be found selling a cold one for 17 caps in the initial sequence when entering his bar. But you'll have to watch him beat up a gentleman named Paul Pembroke before you can grab a post-apocalyptic White Claw from Henry himself. Henry also appears to be heavy on supply of whiskey, or simply sees whiskey as an inferior alternative to a brewski, since he will also sell whiskey for 17 caps. At this time of writing, Bud Light has an 18-pack at our local Sam's Club running us $1.29 per bottle on average. And it also has a 750 milliliter bottle of whiskey at $22. If you're uncultured like me and are not adept at the metric system, this simply means $22 of whiskey will get you roughly 25 ounces of the liquid courage. This places our dollar per bottle cap for beer at 7.6 cents and our whiskey at $1.29. Quite the spread if you ask me. The infamous blue jumpsuit commonly refers to the Vault Tech jumpsuit, which is a standard attire for inhabitants of all Vault 111 and other vaults. The player starts the game wearing this jumpsuit. Additional Vault Tech jumpsuits can be found within Vault 111 and other vaults throughout the Commonwealth, or on residents of these vaults. The base value of a Vault Tech jumpsuit in the game's currency, caps, is generally low and can go as low as 0 caps, making this an item that one could call invaluable. The Vault Tech jumpsuit is iconic in Fallout 4, symbolizing the player's origins from Vault 111 and serving as a reminder of the pre-war world. Its practical benefits, while limited, can be improved throughout crafting, making it a versatile piece of apparel in the early stages of the game. All this is to be said that it's almost too iconic to compare to something in the real world today, and, as mentioned before, it doesn't really have a price. So for these two primary reasons, we'll have to compare Diamond City's shoddiest gray suit you've ever seen from our vendor Becky. At 47 caps for the combo, I believe there are better ways a player can blow through their cap collection, but this item does make do for a real-world comparison. Depending on where you shop today, you can buy a shoddy comparison for about $100 in total, meaning a bottle cap is roughly $2.13 on average for this good. If swooning a ghoul at your local tavern is your shtick, then haircuts are a necessity in Fallout. Getting a haircut serves several purposes, enhancing both the gameplay experience and character personalization. Naturally, one of the primary benefits of a haircut is the ability to customize your character's appearance. This allows for a more personalized and immersive experience as you can adjust your look throughout the game. Whether you're aiming for a roleplay specific appearance or just want to change your character's style, a haircut offers this flexibility. In certain scenarios, altering your character's appearance, including their hairstyle, can influence interactions with other characters. A neat and charismatic appearance might positively impact social interactions, although this effect is more about player perception than a direct gameplay mechanic in Fallout 4. One of the barbers you can visit to get a fresh fade is John in Diamond City, who runs a barbershop where you can choose from various hairstyles that will cost you 15 caps. I'd like to think that John is probably better than most barbers in today's society, and that he's a man of the people in this regard, offering a service at an undeniable value. If you go to your local sports cuts, however, you'll be charged roughly $35 for a hands-on haircut by either someone fresh out of hair school or a gal who is in her mid-40s that enjoys a flexible work schedule. Regardless of what type of gal gives you a haircut, this renders the value of this service at $2.33 per bottle cap. Fallout 4 focuses more on building relationships through companionship and dialogue, offering a variety of companions with whom the player can develop significant personal and potentially romantic relationships. These interactions are more about narrative depth and character development than the more transactional nature of services seen in earlier games like Fallout New Vegas. With this in mind, in order to do a bottle cap value analysis for this type of service, we will have to look at New Vegas specifically. At the Gomorrah Casino, one can find that the New Vegas Strip offers this type of adventurous service for roughly 100 caps, and the establishment in Freeside known as the Atomic Wrangler also provides these services for a comparable price. Let's say we are looking for a good time at 100 caps on any given night in the radioactive Sin City. Near the real Sin City, however, there is a town called Pahrump, which also renders legal services similar to that of which a player would find in New Vegas. These services go for an average of $300 minimum, and no, these types of services don't accept American Express. I only know this from research purposes, however. This puts our dollar cap value at roughly $3 for such an activity. After looking at basic necessities such as water, clothes, squirrel bits, fashion, and nighttime activities, we've found that the Fallout 4 bottle cap's most expensive item in the list is the standard pistol, which places a cap at a value of $3.57 when purchasing this item, while the least expensive item is a bottle of water or a like competitor 200 years from now that assumes a cap is worth 2.2 cents. Though, from a statistical standpoint, one could argue that our sample size should be at least 40 varying types of items and services, this fun, quick, and dirty analysis looked at 13 items and found that the average cap demands a current US dollar price of $1.51. The currency that closest resembles this dollar value price per fiat is a British pound at $1.25 per British pound. Maybe the bottle cap is the currency of the future. One thing's for certain, however. It appears game developers did not take into consideration price disparity for the game's rendered services and goods.
Begins at the Charles View Amphitheater located right here. Now just wait a second, don't skip this one because it's different than the quest where you come here and rescue the girl. To start this unmarked quest, you need to travel here before the Imogene takes a lover quest, which is the one you were probably thinking about. If you have already rescued her, then you won't get the dialogue needed for this unmarked quest, unless you rescued her without anyone the wiser, basically the stealth route. What you need to do is speak to the leader of the cult, which will either be Brother Andrew, Brother Simon, Brother James, or Brother Matthew. They'll try to convince you to join the cult. If you agree to join, then they will take you to the back room to do unspeakable acts upon you. Alright, mostly they'll just ask you to give up all your worldly possessions in favor of the pillars of the community.
What do you say? Ready to take that first step into a new life?
You owe it to yourself to give it a chance.
Yes, I am.
All right then. Fantastic. You won't regret it, I promise you. We haven't had a single pillar leave the movement since we started. Right this way, neighbor. Alrighty. I hope you're as excited as I am. This is one of my favorite parts of the job, getting to welcome new members into our movement. The first step is simple. You have to learn to give up your attachment to material possessions in order to gain the ability to have true wealth, health, and happiness. Just go ahead and give me everything you own, and I'll initiate you as a first-level pillar of the community.
If you question the brother's motive, he will reveal that he's actually a con man and his true intentions are to just rob people blind, including the sole survivor. You can pass a speech check which allows you to leave with all your possessions intact and the rest of the cult won't try to murder you on the way out.
You can't seriously think I'm handing over all my stuff.
The world is full of suckers, pal. Just look outside. Every one of them handed over everything they owned in return for, well, hope. Sure, it's false hope, but hey, it was worth it to them. You can tell yourself whatever you want, but you're leaving here naked or horizontal. Your choice.
I'm walking out of here. Your choice what you want to do about it.
Ah, you're not worth the trouble. Plenty of easier marks. Get out of here before I change my mind.
But if you refuse and you don't want to pass the speech check or you fail, then you're going to have to kill everyone to keep all your goodies. The interesting part of this quest is actually coming back later to complete the Imogene Takes a Lover quest. One might assume that the quest never happens or that she goes to a different location. Well, she actually still goes to the amphitheater, and when you arrive, a new leader has started up the cult again, and you do get some more unique dialogue. A lot of people, including me, assume that this is an actual in-game quest, but it's actually an unmarked one and probably the reason some people don't even know that you can recruit him as a settler. You need to head to the Hotel Rexford, a good neighbor, located here. Once there, you need to take the stairs up to the top floor where you will be greeted by a somewhat familiar face. A ghoul wearing the same outfit, and I mean the exact same, no wear and tear or anything, as the man who came to your front door before the bombs fell, the Vault Tech Rep. He will immediately recognize you and ask you questions about how you survived.
Time when we were going places. Now we're not there.
What? No, it can't. It's you from Sanctuary Hills, right?
Like your loyalty.
Wait, are you from Vault Tech?
I am Vault Tech. 20 years of loyal service, and now look at me. I wasn't on the list. But you, look at you. 200 years, and you're still perfect. How's that possible?
The vault had these pods that froze us in place. I only thawed out recently.
What? Vault Tech never told me that. Unbelievable.
If you keep talking to him, you'll learn that he's had a rough go of it for the last 200 years after he became a ghoul. The first year he was stuck in Sanctuary with only Codsworth to keep him company, and Codsworth just assumes his daily chores for the sole survivor's household, so I'm assuming his company wasn't worth much. Once things started to settle down and safe communities began to rise up, the Vault Tech rep decided to try his luck. Most were weary or downright disgusted by his presence. He wasn't welcome anywhere, and his old business skills were useless in this new apocalyptic world. He eventually found Good Neighbor after being rejected by Diamond City, and he finally felt like he had a safe place to stay. Sadly, his motivation for life was dwindling, and he just stayed in his room for years at the Hotel Rexford. He'll eventually tell you that he's lonely and wishes for some friendship. It's at this point you can ask him to stay at Sanctuary with you. You'll then have to pass a speech check promising him that you'll visit him. He'll become super happy and make his way to Sanctuary.
You know, you're the only other person I met from before. Oh God, I've been so alone here. No Commonwealth settlement, once a ghoul with 200 years of Vault Tech sales experience.
Where else could you go?
Diamond City bigots don't allow ghouls inside. It's just here or back at Sanctuary talking to that crazy robot of yours.
Hey, you know, you could head back to Sanctuary. I'll come visit. I promise.
Really? You will? Okay, I'll head over there right now. You promise you'll come visit, right? I'll see you there.
Now all you need to do is head back to Sanctuary and meet him there. Speak with him again and he is overjoyed, and then you can offer him a job. He'll now become a settler and can join any settlement you wish. He also is considered a unique settler and can be added to a trading emporium to make it a level 4 vendor, which includes unique items. This one is a quick one, but it's something interesting that some might have missed. To begin, head on over to Vault 81 that's located right here. Then head down to Dr. Penske's lab and speak with her. She'll offer you a fresh mute fruit to try. You should then eat it.
Why?
It's a new strain of mute fruit that I just developed. It should be nutritious and remove radiation poisoning, but I need a test subject to try it.
Is it dangerous?
Well, everything has its risks, I suppose, but that's what the medical center is for.
Nah, what the hell. I'll try it.
Excellent. Just tell me how it tastes and how it makes you feel. Now where'd I put that Geiger counter?
Once you've eaten the fruit, speak with her again and she'll offer to buy bags of fertilizer from you for 25 caps each. It's not the greatest deal, but it can become pretty lucrative if you know what you're doing. You basically just need to make a massive Brahmin farm at one of your settlements, or even more if you've decided to become the new Commonwealth Brahmin rancher. The Brahmin will then supply you fertilizer and you can come back here and sell it. This is a very similar one to the one we just spoke of. You need to head to Vault 81 yet again and speak with a man named Calvin Whitaker. You'll have a brief conversation with him and he'll offer you to buy any tool off you for 15 caps a pop.
Been going through tools like they were going out of style, so if you got any, I'd be more than happy to take them off your hands.
How much are you paying?
I'd say 15 caps per tool. Overseer won't let me go higher, but I'll take as many as you can grab.
Sure, you got yourself a deal.
Stupendous. One less thing to bug the Overseer about. Anyway, here I am running my mouth when there's work to do. Sorry I can't talk longer, stranger, but mind the maintenance. Shouldn't get in your way, at least.
Besides this being a terrible deal because tools are much more valuable for settlements, unless you're not into settlements, he only offers the caps for very specific tools. That includes adjustable wrenches, ball-peen hammers, combination wrenches, hammers, screwdrivers, and regular wrenches. That's it. No other tools work. Also, Calvin is known for being extremely buggy, so you may only encounter him once and then he just randomly disappears. It's really weird. Head to the General Atomics factory that's located here. Then you need to find the Quality Assurance department at the southeast corner of the facility, on the ground floor. Look for a red rectangle with a yellow border painted on the floor that reads Test Area. Once you've entered, you now have to solve 3 puzzles, one for each corresponding room you'll enter. At the end of the 3 rooms, there will be a safe that will unlock for you. A robot will begin giving you instructions and you must complete each task for each room to proceed. If you don't want to be spoiled on the tasks, then skip a little ahead. In the first room, the child must be punished by turning off the radio. This will complete the first training room. In the second room, the baby must be stopped from crying by dragging the large baby bottle from atop the dresser into the crib or transferring it into the teddy bear's inventory. Be aware though that the bottle may be behind the dressers or bed or crib just due to explosions. This will complete the second training room. In the third room, all dangerous objects must be removed from the child's reach by picking up the machete in the fridge, the Abraxo cleaner from under the nightstand, and the adjustable wrench under the footstool in the center of the room. Alternatively, one can place or transfer the machete and silver fork into the trash can or on the countertop, which will also complete this third task. Once you do all of that, the safe will open and you'll have your rewards. Also, what is a machete doing in this test? That's odd. Last on the list is Wedding Day, and you'll begin this quest by heading to Diamond City here. Then head on over to the schoolhouse. You'll need to speak with both Mr. Zwicky and the robot Miss Edna. You'll discover that Mr. Zwicky and Edna both, like each other. Don't mistake Miss Edna for the Mr. Fisto brand. It's a common occurrence. In the end, you can actually convince both individuals to get married and you can attend the wedding. To do so, you must hit several criteria. The first is that Miss Edna must have been convinced that love is worth the risk and that she can feel how she wants. She will then announce her love for Mr. Zwicky.
I have one more question before you leave. It's not another quiz. I don't get to talk to many adults. This love I hear about, do you think you can have it for someone, even if the two of you are very, very different?
Who are you talking about?
No, just imagine one is tall and handsome and smart, and one is gentle but a bit metallic.
If you love someone, hold on to them. Tomorrow you might not have the chance.
Thank you. You have helped me make up my mind about something.
You also need to have advanced the quest Jewel of the Commonwealth to the point of where you know to talk to Nick Valentine or any point after that. And lastly, the fight between Riley and Kyle in the middle of town cannot be in progress. Once you've done all these things and you wait a few days and return to Diamond City, you'll find the wedding happening in front of All Faith's chapel. It's just Pastor Clements and Zwicky and Edna. No one else comes. It's kind of sad, but I get it. Pastor Clements will make some funny remarks and that's about it. Fallout 3 has a wealth of in-game quests and assets with some of the most unique and iconic designs that have come out of a Fallout game to this day. But did you know that there is a massive amount of unfinished or cut content that never actually made it into the game? Most of this stuff is found in the in-game files, and even some of it can still be accessed using console commands. Today, we focus on Fallout 3, but in the near future, I'll be going through New Vegas and 4. Like I said earlier, there are a ton of things that didn't make it past the cutting room floor, so I'm going to be going through these quick for you guys. If I missed anything, leave it in the comments below, because I'd love to hear about it. Let's start with cut quests. Infiltration is a primary quest in Fallout 3 that was ultimately removed from the game's final release. Although the quest stages remain within the game files, no further content seems to exist for this mission. In this quest, the player character was intended to access Rivet City via an underwater hatch, retrieve the energy source for the prototype, and deliver it to Scribe Rothschild at the Citadel. The concluding task was to have an audience with Elder Lyons in his study. Something interesting to note is that a similar event took place later in the future, when the Brotherhood of Steel admit to taking the reactor core from Rivet City to power the Prydwen in Fallout 4. During the escape quest in Vault 101, there is a side objective that was cut. In the game files, there's a stage in the game where you have to talk to Stanley and inquire about reactivating the reactor and turn the power to the vault back on, activating the door to the exit. We know of a quest called Last Rites that was supposed to take place after the quest Take It Back. Sadly, we don't know what the quest pertained because it was erased in the in-game files. An additional quest stage was planned for the Wasteland Survival Guide. Player's task would have been to print the books at Hubris Comics and bring them back to Moira, who was actually named Leah initially. This was part of completing the final chapter. This makes Moira's comment in the release game about the player's cynicism in assuming she would ask for such a dangerous task even more ironic. Very little is known about MS-07, with all remaining details coming from unused assets, script markers, and unimplemented dialogue topics. This quest would have featured Lyon's Brotherhood of Steel, the Brotherhood Outcasts, and their internal conflict. It might have involved retrieving an unspecified item or artifact that Sarah Lyon would potentially encounter during the quest. Several unused dialogue topics include the word unity, suggesting a possible reconciliation between the Outcasts and the Brotherhood. However, other topics containing terms like double cross and lion strike imply that it could have been possible for the Brotherhood to attack the Outcasts or for the Lone Wanderer to betray either faction. There were also mentions of a Bureau of Special Affairs and a Center for Extratypical Research, also a mysterious disc, all of which survive as unused assets. Some content related to this quest remains in-game. Certain dialogue topics for Scribe Bowditch, Elder Lyons, and Protector Kasdan, which discuss the conflict between the Outcasts and Lyons Brotherhood of Steel, still have the M707 prefix in their topic headers, indicating their original inclusion in the quest. Lastly, an unused radio topic indicates that Galaxy News Radio would have featured a segment about the player's actions in MS-07. I think it would have been awesome to see a quest that reunited or resolved the conflict between the Brotherhood and the Outcasts. I guess we'll never know. Matchmaker is an unmarked quest that was removed from Fallout 3. This quest would have taken place in Canterbury Commons and involved acting as a matchmaker between Derek and McCready, who secretly have crushes on each other but barely interact in the released version of Fallout 3. Only fragments of dialogue and a script variable in the Canterbury Commons dialogue quest remain from this quest. Upon meeting the conditions, the player would have been able to give Derek dating advice, encouraging him to pursue McCready. There would have been 3 possible outcomes depending on the advice given. A good outcome where Derek is nervous, but McCready agrees to a date. A smooth outcome where Derek is charismatic and McCready agrees. And a bad outcome where Derek angers McCready, leading to her rejecting him. Similar to geomapping with Riley, where you discover locations on your map and return to her to give her the data in exchange for caps, there was a free-form mission to do the exact same thing for Knight Captain Gallows in the Brotherhood of Steel. And that does it for the quests. I'm sure there are loads more that we have no clue about that the developers discussed during the creation process. If only we could have been flies on the wall. Let's move on. There was a cut radio station called the Tenpenny Tower Radio. Alistair Tenpenny was to be the host, and some of his dialogue for the radio actually made it into the in-game files. I'll play some for you guys, but if you want to hear all of them, I'll leave it in a link below.
Thank you for listening to Tenpenny Tower Radio Service, brought to you by Alistair Tenpenny. This is Tenpenny Tower Radio. The poor man wishes for prosperity. The rich man makes his own. Never wonder for a moment if you're worthy of the benefits you possess. Rather wonder always if you have utilized them to their fullest. The poor man wonders why he is poor. The rich man knows why he is rich.
Now we have some cut characters. Most of them have no background as they didn't really make it into the game, but there is some interesting stuff here. Specialist Aberdeen was meant to be a Brotherhood of Steel outcast. NPCs named Caravan Traders were meant to appear in Canterbury Commons. Tuck Johnson and Karen Johnson were meant to be another family that you meet in the town of Andale. Little Toe was meant to be a character that was involved with the Replicated Man quest. Lucy West's father, Davis, was once meant to be alive in Arafu. Paladin Northup was meant to be part of Paladin Bishop's team and their mission.
You showed up at a bad time, stranger. This position is being overrun. I suggest that you head out of here while the muties are focused on us. What does it look like? We're fighting a losing battle. That's what's happening. They just keep coming. We haven't slept in days. Every couple of hours, more show up. We were looking for Fat Man ammo. One of the scribes found a reference to a storage box and some old documents. We found the box all right, and the key. But then the mutants showed up. If I didn't know better, I'd swear that this was a trap. But the only way that those mutants will lay a hand on this key is over my cold, dead body. We will not give up this position, and the mutants show no sign of slowing down. The best thing you can do is eliminate any mutants you find. I have no reward to offer you but my thanks.
John Malayus, the chief scientist of Vault 92, could be found as an NPC in the game files. Who knows what they had planned for this guy? Rock Crick hunters were generic NPCs that would talk about Yao Guai hunting, and they would even point out Yao Guai dens to you. Stacy here has a bit more background info than her counterparts. She was probably very close to completion and addition. Stacy and another girl named Caps worked together guarding the front gate of Little Lamplight. Caps looked after Stacy and enjoyed their time on duty, especially appreciating Stacy's sense of humor. Stacy would often search for hats to give to Caps, contributing to her friend's nickname. One day, while Stacy was away from her post during her shift, raiders attacked and killed Caps. Stacy then blames herself for what happened and has since taken on the role of the sole front gate guard. Trigger, another character meant to be part of the Replicated Man quest, and he would have interacted with the cut character Little Toe. Mr. Burke does not exist in the Japanese version of the game and is technically considered cut content in that version. This was done with respect to sensitivity surrounding nuclear weapons due to the nuclear attacks on Japan during World War II. O'Grady. He was meant to be a guard that carried around a special police baton called O'Grady's Peacemaker. Now on to some creatures, and only 2 didn't make the final cut. Clancy, who was a special centaur, we have no further information on him, and Mr. Mulberry, who was a cut Mr. Handy, which was set to appear in Megaton. He would have been a non-hostile character, but he only has 2 generic dialogue lines. As far as locations go, we have some very interesting things here. Burkittsville and the Burkittsville Vault. Before the Great War, a vault was constructed in Burkittsville. After the war, a group of deranged cannibals established a camp near the vault's entrance, ambushing anyone attempting to access it. This location is mentioned in the cut Hamilton's Hideaway Terminal entries, and this would have also been the town of Burkittsville. We have no idea what the vault contained or why the cannibals were guarding it. It sounds super interesting though. Chesterbrook would have been a town where Paladin Bishop and his team hunkered down and fought a heavily fortified group of super mutants. The Lone Wanderer then would have strolled into the town to supply aid. Potomac Steamworks. Located near Rivet City, the Potomac Steamworks was designed to include a series of underground tunnels and sewers. Access would have been possible through 2 non-functioning entrances, a combination of a ladder or a manhole and a door. The only loot available would have been found on the bodies of resident feral ghouls. Vault 100. Sadly, we have no information on where this vault was going to be located and what the experiment was going to be. Washington, D.C. was actually meant to be twice as large as its final iteration. According to Emil Pagliarulo, many of these cut neighborhoods had already been largely completed, but were ultimately removed on Todd Howard's decision. That includes Adams Morgan, Alexandria, Annandale, Buzzard Point, Crystal City, Freedom Street, Holmes Run, Jefferson District, Langley Oaks, Monticello Park, Rock Creek Estates, Seven Corners, and Southwest Waterfront. Here's a list of all the known cut holotapes and notes. I'll play and read a few interesting ones, but if you want the whole list, it's in the link below. You could obtain a contract from Azrakal for the possession of Sharon. The note can still be added in-game using console commands. 7 Years and Counting was a cut terminal entry written by Mr. Crowley. It says, quote, "I forgot about this terminal. I've been down here for 7 years now. A human would have never survived. Only a ghoul can live in these conditions. 3 years ago, I stopped looking for a way out. There isn't one." The Vault 101 Classroom Lesson Review. Here's some in-game images that were actually cut from the game. The Arlington Library photo, which was meant to be added to your Pip-Boy during the Wasteland Survival Guide quest. The bloody sketch drawing found in the Dunwich building. Megaton's Atomic Bomb, added to your Pip-Boy after you ask an NPC about the bomb that is related to the Power of Adam quest. The Minefield Playground, added to the Pip-Boy during the Wasteland Survival Guide quest. Mirelurk Spawning Pod. You guessed it, it would have been added to the Pip-Boy during the Survival Guide quest. A picture of the GNR building plaza, but it's actually named as Tenpenny Towers in the files. No one knows why this is the case. It could have just been a placeholder or something. On to armor and clothing, and there is a lot. I'm just going to name them off and show you pictures of them. Most of them are just various unique versions of armor that already exist in the game, but they would have had special properties. The all-purpose science suit, a unique version of the Enclave scientist outfit. Though unused, it was added to Fallout New Vegas in a patch. Apocalypse Gladiator Armor, Apocalypse Gladiator Helmet, Army Power Armor, Blast Off Helmet, Child Blast Off Helmet, Commando Armor, Composite Recon Armor, Composite Recon Helmet, Defender Armor, Dr. Lee's Glasses, Enclave Shock Trooper Armor, Enclave Shock Trooper Helmet, Explorer's Gear, Hat of the People, unused in the base game of Fallout 3, but it was later used in the pit. Hand-me-down Raider Armor, Handyman Jumpsuit, which was used in Point Lookout later, Head Wrap, also used in Point Lookout, Highway Scar Armor, Lab Goggles, Makeshift Gas Mask, Oasis Exile Hood, Outcast Recon Armor, Power Suit Armor, Pyro Helmet, Road Rascal Leather Armor, Robo Thor Armor, Robo Thor Helmet, Sharp Dressed Raiders Armor, Shell Shocked Combat Armor, Shell Shock Combat Helmet, Sleepwear, Surgical Mask, Tenpenny Security Helmet, Tesla Resonance Armor, the Devil's Pigtails, the Peepers, Vault 87 Jumpsuit, Vault 92 Jumpsuit, and Wastelander's Gear. We're gonna do the same for weapons. The Baseball, it was actually used as a player weapon at one point. Black Bart's Bane, which is a BB gun. Breaker, a nail board. Clover's Cleaver, a Chinese officer's sword. The Cryo Grenade, which was actually re-added in Mothership Zeta. The Cryo Mine, the same thing. The Cryolator. The Curse Breaker, a baseball bat. The Discharge Hammer, a super sledge. The Excalibat, a baseball bat. the grenade launcher, a combat shotgun, Law Dog, a .32 pistol, lightning gun, a laser rifle, Love Tap, which were brass knuckles, the Mirelurk bait grenade, O'Grady's Peacemaker, which was a police baton, Paw's fishing aid, a double barrel shotgun, the smoke grenade, which was a frag grenade, Spanner, which was a wrench, and Wanda, which was an assault rifle. The super stim pack that literally exists in every other Fallout game was meant to be here as well, but also never made it. Ant resin was cut, but later added into New Vegas. The Great House of Laud, or LOD, I don't know which one, it was a miscellaneous item that had a picture of a ruined book. Who knows what this was supposed to be? Here's a bunch more miscellaneous items that never made it. The Big Book of Science, Constitution of the United States, the Emancipation Proclamation, Monroe Doctrine, U.S. Declaration of War on China, the U.S. Declaration of War on Germany, a control collar, an empty sap container, the Gettysburg Address, Motivational Secrets of the Stars, the Survival Guide manuscript, the actual Wasteland Survival Guide, and a Your Special book that would be found after the events of Vault 101. Here are some textures for items. These are pretty cool. A cut first aid kit, an unused baseball bat texture, 44 caliber centerfire, a lighter used for igniting Molotov cocktails, fly meat, fresh apples, a clean texture for stim packs, liquid nitrogen canisters, coolant component, the base game version of the cryo grenades and the base game version of the cryo mines, the cryo later, Molotov cocktails, Nuka cocktail, Tranquility Lane chandelier, and a disc that was related to the cut quest MS-07. Here we have a bunch of skills and effects that actually never made it into the game. Throwing is a skill from the first two Fallout games. Pip-Boy images for this skill exist in the game's texture files. The image intended for its skill icon was later used in Fallout New Vegas for the Heave-Ho perk. Atomization, an unused critical kill effect for mini-nuke weapons, similar to disintegration or gooification. The victims would have been engulfed in green particles and glows. Better Rivet City prices, which would have increased your barter by 15, which was related to the Wasteland Survival Guide quest. EMP Disable, similar to a pulse grenade effect on susceptible targets. Kamikaze would have increased your AP by 10 and reduced your DR by 20, based on the trait from Fallout 1 and 2, and it would have been a perk in Fallout 3. The Life Giver perk would have had a second and a third rank. Poison, which was internally called Death Claw Poison. Death Claws cannot actually inflict poison in the final game. Thank God. An effect called Rad Poisoning, which they internally called Nuka Lurk Attack. RL3 Survive, which increased your DR by 10 in 3 stages. Stealth Shield, internally called Enclave Infiltrator Stealth, which would have made you invisible. Ant Vision, an effect would have happened after you consumed Ant Nectar. Attack Health, unknown. Cripple Be Gone effect, unknown. Cure Addiction, meant to cure a particular addiction or all of them. Damage Chest. The only damage body part effects used are for legs, which comes from the dart gun. Damage Left Arm. Damage Radiation Resistance, unknown. Damage Right Arm. Flamer Burn, unknown. Flamer Smoke effect, unknown. Frost Damage. This was possibly used later in Mothership Zeta. Many of the chems in the games had different effects, like increased agility, increased damage resistance, endurance, perception, strength, all types of things. They even have several debuffs for addictions, like reduce charisma, which would have been part of the Mentat addiction, or reduce intelligence, which would have been part of the Psycho addiction. Then we have some cut projectiles. There was an ant fire spitting projectile, a flaming version of the giant ant queen spit for the Marigold Fire Ant Queen. There was a crossbow bolt found in the models folder for projectiles, but there are no crossbows in Fallout 3. The Phil Fun projectile, an eyeless static mesh of a vicious dog modded into weapons as a dog shooter. Basically they bark when fired, but they behave like regular bullets. And last but not least, we have some cool cut graphics and objects. I really love these. These are some cut Pip-Boy icons. We have an alternate 10mm submachine gun, an alternate BB gun, alternate Chinese pistol, Chinese sword, combat knife, laser pistol, lead pipe, Lincoln's repeater, an alternate minigun, a pool cue, a ripper, a sawed-off shotgun, a sledgehammer, a switchblade, and an alternate tire iron. We have an unused leather armor icon, an unused mini nuke icon, and an unused missile icon. We have the museum token, turpentine icon, a Vault 95 suit, and an interestingly Vault 100 suit, the Super Stim Pack, which was later used in New Vegas, night vision goggles, empty sap container, a police hat, and a food description which was used in Fallout New Vegas later on. Here we have some cut world objects. These include like signs or objects, miniatures, anything you could find on a building, all types of stuff. Here's a bunch of signs. Here we have a crane which would have been used to lift Liberty Prime instead of the scaffolding. Here's a picture of the player character's parents. This was actually used in Vault 21 in New Vegas later on. Unused gear decorations from the Mechanist's Forge, a display version of the Mr. Handy robot, a garden hose, a picture of Project Purity, a few more signs and maps. Here's some cut Raider graffiti. Here's a photo of Tranquility Lane, a recycler according to its file name, an unused high-resolution TV, the Emancipation Proclamation, the Crystal City Metro sign and the flooded Metro sign, a satellite photo of the Capital Wasteland, an unused model. It has no entry, but I think it's a mower because in this other picture this is titled a post-war mower, a remote control for the mower, Our Lady of Hope hospital sign, a pristine school desk, some more street signs, and a very early on loading screen. Then we have some cut Vault Boy stat images. The unused light step perk graphic in Fallout 3 actually uses mines instead of bear traps. Carry weight, melee damage, damage resistance, poison resistance, hit points, healing rate, critical chance, and action points. This is all the cut content from the base game. The add-ons have a bit more, and we can get into those in a later video.
Knight Torres, the quartermaster for the Brotherhood of Steel in the Hidden Valley bunker, mentions that she is missing a laser pistol from her inventory. The courier can offer to help find it. Head next door to the firing range and speak to the paladin at the desk there. Mention the missing pistol and the paladin will indicate that Initiate Stanton was the last to check it out but signed it back in afterward. It's important to talk to the paladin before Stanton, or Stanton will deny knowing anything about it. Initiate Stanton can be found on the first floor of the bunker or in the classroom during the daytime. At night, he will be in the Initiate barracks opposite the firing range. When asked about the pistol, Stanton admits that he and apprentice Watkins went to Scorpion Gulch for a training exercise, but ran away when they realized the Scorpions were too much to handle. Stanton dropped the pistol in the confusion. He also reveals that he falsified the records, indicating he returned it. Scorpion Gulch is southeast through a broken fence from the bunker. The missing laser pistol is on top of a rock in the middle of the lowest part of the gulch. Various Scorpions roam the area. Retrieve the pistol and return it to Torres. She will reward the courier with a tri-beam laser rifle and Brotherhood of Steel fame. When conversing with Siri, a female slave to the fort working for Caesar's Legion, she shares the challenge of her life and her knowledge of healing powder. With a Legion reputation of good or better, the player can obtain healing powder from her. Furthermore, with a minimum survival skill of 20, the player can suggest improvements to the recipe she is using. The player can then return to Siri once a day to receive free healing powder. If she's been given the better recipe, she will provide the player with 6 healing powders.
At Sloan, there's a generator outside the mining office that powers Quarry Junction, but it's not working right. Repairing it needs a repair skill of 35 or higher and affects how the quarry workers respond. Another option is to permanently disable the generator by removing its parts, which requires 5 scrap metals, a conductor, and a sensor module. Repairing the generator also unlocks a dialogue option with Chomps Lewis outside of Sloan, who pays the courier 2 $100 NCR dollars and increases their NCR fame. As you enter Freeside through the East Gate, you'll witness a boy named Max chasing a girl. He's holding a unique weapon, Euclid's Seafinder. To acquire the gun from Max, there are several options. You can buy it for 1,000 caps, or with sufficient barter skill, negotiate it down to 20 caps. Alternatively, you can pickpocket the gun from him while he's sleeping. If you have a speech skill of 60, you can convince Max that you're space agent, and he'll give you the gun for free. The Seafinder is a handheld rangefinder linked to an orbiting laser weapon codenamed Archimedes 2. Firing Euclid's Seafinder will result in a 5-second delay and an animated sequence on the weapon's display before the impact. And what an impact that is! You believe a kid was walking around with this thing?
Complete enough quests for the NCR to become liked by them. Visit Colonel Sue at Camp McCarran, who expresses his satisfaction with your progress. As a reward, he gives you a key to the NCR Ranger safe house. Here you can rest and replenish your supplies. As you stroll through Freeside's bustling streets, you'll spot Robface. a ghoul with a knack for local gossip, lounging near Mick and Rouse. He's not shy about his trade, offering up tidbits of information in exchange for a few caps. Rotface's style is casual yet insistent. He's not just sharing rumors, he's weaving tales of intrigue and excitement, making even the most mundane details sound like the plot of a thrilling adventure. With each tip, he adds a new layer to the tapestry of Freeside stories, drawing you deeper into its secrets. When you first approach him, Rotface presents you with an enticing offer. For just 1 bottle cap each, he'll reveal 30 of Freeside's hidden truths. The first tip is a teaser, hinting at the colorful personalities of the King's gang, but it's just the beginning of the journey through Rotface's world of whispers and revelations. Pay for more tips and listen to all 30. Just remember, he won't repeat them again.
Meet Melody, a spirited child slave at the fort. Despite her circumstances, she maintains a strong will and a beloved companion, Sergeant Teddy, her missing teddy bear. To help Melody, you need to track down Antony, a key figure at the fort. Antony might not part with Sergeant Teddy easily. There are a few ways to persuade him. You could agree to a challenging fight in the Legion arena, showcasing your combat prowess against some of his dogs. Alternatively, if you've earned a favorable reputation with the Legion or possess the animal friend perk, you may convince Antony to hand over the bear without a fight. For those more skilled in negotiation, a barter skill of 50 or higher allows you to reduce the number of dogs you face in the arena, potentially making the task easier. Once you have Sergeant Teddy in your possession, return to Melody. Your choice of how to handle the situation will influence your karma and reputation. Giving the bear to Melody will earn you good karma, while tearing the bear in half in front of her will result in bad karma and increased Legion fame. Meet Silas, a captured Legion Centurion held captive in Camp McCarran, where the NCR seeks to extract valuable information from him. Lieutenant Carrie Boyd, the interrogator, is at a loss, as NCR regulations forbid the torture of prisoners. With a reputation of accepted or higher with the NCR, you can assist in the interrogation. You'll have to enter unarmed unless your sneak skill is high enough to smuggle in some holdout weapons. To break Silas and extract information, you have 2 paths, violent or persuasive. The violent path involves repeatedly hitting Silas until he's willing to talk, while the persuasive method requires passing speech or intelligence checks to gain his trust. Once Silas divulges the information or is killed in the process, you'll gain NCR fame. However, killing Silas will result in condemnation from Lieutenant Boyd and NCR infamy. Alternatively, you can help Silas escape. If you're at least accepted by the Legion, you can gain his trust and assist in his escape. This option involves staging a fight to make it look like Silas overpowered you, leading to his escape dressed as an NCR corporal.
Brewer's Beer Bootlegging was once the home of a man named Gord, who had ambitious plans to launch his own brand of alcoholic beverage, the Strategic Nuclear Moose. Sadly, his dreams were shattered when he was killed by Cazadors before he could realize his business venture. With a lockpick skill of 50, you can unlock the cellar door and discover Gord's hidden brewery. Inside, you'll find a key under the Big Book of Science near the chemistry set. This key opens a hard-locked gun cabinet outside the small room labeled Strategic Nuclear Moose, and God said let them have beer. Meet Sarah at Vault 21 on the Strip. She'll actually give you 2 unmarked quests, Tourist Traipse, which is her giving you a tour, and the one we are talking about. I figured we would add them together. After navigating through the maze of dialogue options, Sarah will finally agree to buy vault jumpsuits from you. She's not picky about which vault you're from, except for Vault 21. Those are off her shopping list. If your barter skill is at least 65, she might even consider adding boomer jumpsuits or boomer flight suits to her collection. For a broader selection, check out Vault 3 and Vault 11, where dressers in their living quarters are packed with jumpsuits. Once you've unloaded 30 of these suits on Sarah, she'll hand over 30 caps, boost your fame in the Strip, and toss in a discount on the Vault 21 guest room for good measure. After the deal is done, Sarah will become oddly attached to the vault suits and may suggest catching up in your room. This rendezvous not only earns you the well-rested bonus, but also shows Sarah's sentimental side. If you're feeling particularly suave, 2 well-placed speech checks at 65 and 75, respectively, might even persuade her to add some extra spice to your catching up sessions, making her more willing to accept boomer suits.
In the quiet town of Novac, rumors swirl among the locals about mysterious attacks plaguing a nearby Brahmin ranch. While chatting with folks like Jeannie Mae Crawford and Nobark Noonan can provide additional insight, the real start to this puzzling tale begins with a conversation with the ranch owner himself, Dusty McBride. Located west of the Dino D Light Motel, Dusty can be found in the McBride house, ready to share his concerns. He'll ask you to wait near the Brahmin pen at midnight to catch the attacker, As you step out of the house, a stealthy Nightkin armed with a stealth boy lurks near a large boulder behind the house, preparing to strike. Using VATS can actually reveal his position. While initially non-hostile, he will start slaughtering Brahmin at midnight. You can confront him at any time, and his demise is necessary to move forward. The Nightkin carries a revealing holotape called The Screams of Brahmin in his inventory, shedding some more light on his motives. Returning to Dusty with the news of the Nightkin's defeat, you'll earn 75 caps, access to his freezer stocked with 9 or 10 Brahmin steaks, and a boost to your fame in Novac, skyrocketing you to accepted status and earning you some positive karma. Just outside the west exit of Nipton, a dramatic scene unfolds as two figures, Thomas and Jacqueline, engage in a fierce shootout. The skirmish continues until one of them lies dead. While the courier can't intervene during the fight, Jacqueline will call out for some help once the dust settles. Should Thomas survive, he'll reveal that Jacqueline, his recent traveling companion, suddenly turned on him, demanding his caps and coveted Sunset Sarsaparilla Star bottle cap necklace. If Jacqueline emerges victorious, she'll describe Thomas as deranged, claiming he was obsessed with her star caps. Regardless, once the dust settles, the surviving party will approach the courier. If it's Thomas, a speech challenge of 50 can convince him to hand over his prized necklace peacefully. Otherwise, demanding it will turn him hostile. Jacqueline, on the other hand, will turn hostile if she realizes that the courier has star caps, or if she feels threatened after a brief friendly interaction. Regardless of who survives, the courier can pickpocket the star caps or kill them outright. Thomas carries 7 star caps, while Jacqueline will either have 2 or 9 depending on whether she looted Thomas's body.
If you're seeking a glimpse into the future, look no further than the Forecaster, a young boy perched below the overpass at the 188 trading post. He's adorned with a psychic nullifier and offers his thoughts for a price of 100 caps each. Engage him in conversation and he'll do thinking about 3 different subjects: here, you, and everywhere. His premonitions are cryptic yet insightful, touching on the courier's future, potential relationships like the one with Veronica, and broader happenings in the wasteland. To uncover the details of the group who shot you, start by chatting with Trudy at the Prospector Saloon. Inquire about the attackers and she'll mention their frequent visits and the incident involving her radio. Offer to fix the radio and she'll explain how she plans to compensate you for your efforts. Head behind the counter and interact with the radio. With a repair skill of 20, you can repair it yourself. If your repair skills fall short, you can use a Fixin' Things skill magazine found on the bookshelf near the pool table to boost your repair skill temporarily. Once the radio is fixed, inform Trudy. She'll reward you with 50 caps. If you can negotiate a bit, 20 barter. She may even offer an additional 25 caps. Enjoy 10 XP for your repair skills and an extra 25 XP if you succeed in the barter check.
When you first arrive at Mr. House's penthouse in the Lucky 38, you'll be greeted by Jane, the unique female-faced Securitron. If you wish to present her with snow globes for Mr. House's collection, you'll need to exhaust the dialogue option, "What's with the snow globe collection?" and then inform her, "I have some snow globes for Mr. House's collection." Keep in mind that if you choose to kill or disable Mr. House, Jane will disappear. For each snow globe you bring, Jane will reward you with 2,000 caps. Once you sell them, each snow globe will be proudly displayed on a stand in the presidential suite. When you approach the cattle pen at Brooks Tumbleweed Ranch, a Nightkin will uncloak itself and offer to sell you Wind Brahmin. Initially, if you agreed to buy one without asking the price, the Nightkin would give you a stealth boy for free. However, that was patched. The Nightkin will now instead take all of your caps if you agree to buy a Wind Brahmin without the asking price. If you choose not to purchase the Wind Brahmin, the Nightkin will become hostile. I wonder what Wind Brahmin smells like.
Venture on over to Sloan and strike up a chat with Jazz Wilkins. If you're lucky, she might just ask you to fetch her a Deathclaw egg. Now, you could traipse all the way to Quarry Junction, but why bother with all that risk when you can snag one from the Deathclaws at the Gypsum Train Yard? Sure, there's no shortage of danger there, but at least you won't be facing down the mother of all Deathclaw nests. Alternatively, if you're feeling bold, Deadwind Cavern might have what you need. Just watch your step. Those Deathclaws don't take kindly to egg hunters.
The word antagonist means a person who actively opposes or is hostile to someone or something, an adversary. It doesn't necessarily mean that that person is a villain or the bad guy. It's a character that opposes our protagonists, our heroes, whether that's through violence, subterfuge, or any other means. The Fallout games and series are pretty cut and dry on who these characters are meant to be, at least for the most part.
Determining whether these antagonists are right or wrong in their motives is more of a moral question you have to ask yourself. But the more interesting thing is the games that let you determine not their motives, but the actual characters. New Vegas, for example. If you joined the Caesar's Legion, then who was your hero's antagonist? Was it House and President Kimball? Maybe you joined the NCR, which means that Caesar was definitely your antagonist. We'll dive more into these questions later on, but let's take a look at all of Fallout's antagonists and who they were, what they did, and where they may have ended up.
Let's start at the beginning. And no, I'm not talking about Fallout 1. I mean the beginning of the Fallout timeline. That would of course be Fallout 76. 76 has always been a special case in the Fallout series, and it doesn't really differ in this video as well. Of course, the game has its antagonists, but in a less traditional sense of the word. In the game, the Vault Dwellers face an adversary that almost all of our heroes face within the Wastelands, the environment itself. Looking at it this way almost feels poetic in a sense. If we consider Fallout 76 to be the very beginning of the Fallout timeline, then what greater enemy is there than the one the Wastelanders face every single day? Everybody suffers from the same monster, and it's not the mutated beasts that roam the wastes. Of course they play their parts, but it's the monster of human nature and survival. Food, water, shelter, and health. A battle that will wage on for the foreseeable future of this franchise. A never-ending fight that will almost always be lost. For what is Fallout without Fallout? We will never see any game that fixes the majority of these issues because then it's not Fallout anymore. We can hope and presume the future is repaired and that humanity learned from its mistakes, but let's be honest, war never changes. Now, if we had to pick the actual major antagonists of this game, then we have to set some rules as to what we consider major. The first is central opposition. They serve as a primary force or entity that directly opposes the protagonist or the player character throughout the story. They have substantial influence or power within the game world, often leading a faction or possessing resources that make them formidable adversaries. They engage in direct conflict or pose a significant threat to the protagonist's goals, often driving the main plot forward through their actions or plans. They're characterized by their distinct personality traits, motivations, and goals, which may include ideological differences, personal vendettas, or desires for power and control. And most importantly, their actions and decisions impact the storyline and the world of the game, shaping events and affecting the lives of other characters and factions. In the context of the Fallout games, major antagonists like the Master, Colonel Autumn, and Caesar exemplify these traits by embodying powerful factions, driving conflicts, and presenting formidable challenges for the player to overcome.
Using this context, then there's really only one villain of the 76 story that fits this criteria, and that's the Scorch Beast themselves. It's not exactly the most thrilling villain one could imagine. It's not a character or a person that has motives. It is a creature that conforms to its own sense of nature. The Scorch Beasts were created by the Enclave, by accident, when some irradiated bats were exposed to biochemicals. Of course, the Enclave does what it always does best, and begins to experiment on these accidental abominations. What makes them the major antagonists of the game aren't their physical traits, these hulking bat-like creatures akin to dragons from tales of old. No, it's the disease they carry. Eerily similar to bats in the real world and the rabies that they often carry. The Scorched Beasts are infected with the Scorched Plague, and they are infecting humans in the area with it. Once infected, these humans are then led by the Scorched Beasts. This relationship with the plague elevates a single Scorched Beast to the role of queen, making it far larger and more dangerous, and allowing it to lead the legions of humans and animals in Appalachia through the use of a hive mind. A significant, or really the significant threat in all of the Appalachia region, and most likely beyond it. So what happens to the Scorch Beasts? Well, the people of Vault 76 discover a failsafe system created within the Enclave system to detect Scorched and their nests. They eventually discover the Prime Nest, and they launch a nuke at it, because of course they do. Once nuked, they then enter the Prime Nest. Upon entering the irradiated area, they discovered a laboratory at the heart of the nest, which had also been discovered by the Brotherhood of Steel. The missile detonation awakens a formidable Scorch Beast queen, forcing them to engage in combat with her. Upon vanquishing the queen, the collective consciousness of the Scorch Beast is scattered, and the danger they pose to the wider wasteland is neutralized. This ends the greatest threat to the Appalachian Wastes, and we move forward in time, leading us to potentially the greatest antagonist in the Fallout franchise.
Richard Gray, the Holy Flame, the Dark God, the Night God, Father of Hope, and most importantly, the Master. Richard Moreau, later known as the Master, had a mysterious past before the Great War, finding refuge in Vault 8 when nuclear bombs devastated the world. Upon the vault's opening in 2092, he was exiled for committing murder. He journeyed south to the hub, adopting the surname Gray and establishing himself as a respected doctor. His reputation grew, especially among caravan leaders like Harold, who admired his medical skills and philosophical insights. Gray's life took a fateful turn when he joined Harold's expedition in 2102 to investigate mutant attacks plaguing caravans. Venturing northwest, they discovered Mariposa military base on June 23rd. The base was infested with mutants and guarded by deadly robots. Despite heavy losses, Gray and Harold managed to reach the vats where they encountered the forced evolutionary virus. Gray was thrown into a vat of FEV during a confrontation, nearly drowning but surviving with profound mutations that enhanced his intellect. Emerging from the vat, Gray began experimenting with the FEV, initially on animals and eventually on humans. He discovered that exposure to radiation was key to successful transformations, leading to the creation of intelligent supermutants. By 2137, Gray, now the Master, had amassed a formidable army of supermutants known as the Unity. Their number swelled through raids on caravans and settlements, achieving his vision of unifying humanity under his leadership. Over the years, the Master's Unity expanded across New California, solidifying its military strength and ideological dominance. The Unity was horrifying, an amalgamation of supermutants hell-bent on capturing individuals and turning them into horrifying mutations like themselves. If you didn't accept their generous offer, then they made sure to sterilize you for the good of the future. The Master started out as a regular human, but through exposure to the forced evolutionary virus, he underwent profound changes. Initially, the virus enhanced his intelligence greatly, enabling him to grasp complex philosophical concepts effortlessly. However, it also mutated his body, altering his appearance and granting him abilities like interfacing with computers and robotics. Despite the physical changes, the Master gained charisma and persuasive abilities, becoming adept at convincing others through logical reasoning and deep psychological insight. This charisma helped him gather a loyal following of humans and supermutants. He also developed psychic powers due to his prolonged exposure to FEV, allowing him to delve into the minds of others, exploiting their fears. Physically, the Master expanded his biomass by assimilating organisms and integrating himself into a vault in Los Angeles. His influence spread throughout the facility, intertwining with its machinery. His main body was centered in the Overseer's chamber, where he grew and connected to the command chair. However, he did not distribute his nervous system widely, keeping the primary brain within his main body. He truly believes that the Unity is the future of humanity, that humans are meant to evolve into his vision, these estranged mutations. He's an excellent antagonist because he believes that he is right. He believes that what he's doing is morally good and he wants to help humanity. He believed turning all beings into a singular race would finally eliminate the differences and the human fallacies that ultimately brought about the nuclear war. Unfortunately, his hubris is his downfall. For all the intelligence he possessed, he missed the most glaring flaw found in his plan, that supermutants are sterile. There is no future of humanity when there is no procreation. Also, I doubt most people wanted their bodies to be twisted and contorted into these mutants. Look at one of his favorite creations, the Centaur. A horrible end. The Master met his end when a vault dweller from Vault 13 decided to enter the waste looking for a water chip for their vault. While looking for this chip, they uncovered the Master's plot and set to action against him. They entered his domain and set off a nuclear weapon, destroying the base and the Master along with it. For all his knowledge and all his power, he was ultimately ended by his own mistakes. A man that truly went too far. The tunnel vision to save humanity at any and all costs would have always ended in a terrible way. But he's not the first to think he knows best, and he most certainly won't be the last. Though, his legacy does still live on. The Unity broke apart and all his scientific experiments walked out into the wastes, searching for new purpose. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone in the waste that doesn't know about supermutants or haven't interacted with them at some point. Maybe the Master never really died, so long as his children roam the barren lands. Now technically, there are more antagonists in Fallout 1. Are they major characters? Sort of, but not really. I didn't put them on this list because both of them fall under the Master and are aiding him in his plans. That would be the Lieutenant, who is the right-hand man of the Master, and Morpheus, a high-ranking member of the Children of the Cathedral, aiding the Master in his plans. Both of them did not meet the criteria we set in the beginning.
In Fallout 2, the main antagonist is clearly the Enclave as a whole, a remnant group of the old US government. But this group appears time and time again, and it's the people within it that cause so much strife for the wasteland and the people inhabiting it. Let's talk about a beloved character in the Fallout franchise, Frank Horrigan. He is a freak of nature, and most assuredly, the one character you wouldn't want to run into in the wastes. Frank Horrigan, born in 2211, was a towering figure of a man whose life took a dramatic turn after serving as President Dick Richardson's personal bodyguard. His career veered off course due to an unspecified incident, leading to his reassignment to patrol the unforgiving wastelands. It was during one of these missions that he encountered the transformative Force Evolutionary Virus at Mariposa Military Base, a moment that changed him forever, slowly morphing him into a super mutant. Recognizing the potential in his unique transformation, the Enclave whisked him away to their oil rig for extensive study and experimentation. Over the course of 2 years, under the guidance of Colonel Dr. Charles Curling, Horrigan underwent relentless procedures with modified strains of FEV. These experiments, conducted under brief periods of lucidity amidst heavy sedation, profoundly altered his genetic makeup and physical form. His body became a hybrid of man and machine, an unintended consequence that left him labeled as a genetically engineered freak by his peers. By January 2239, deemed ready for field operations, Horrigan was outfitted with cutting-edge power armor, powered by a supersized microfusion reactor. Equipped with a hardened composite blade and an experimental plasma gun, he became a formidable force in New California, feared for his lethal efficiency on the battlefield. Despite his formidable exterior, Horrigan's intellect suffered from the FEV exposure, a vulnerability exploited by the Enclave through rigorous conditioning programs aimed at reinforcing his loyalty to the presidency and military hierarchy. His armor constantly administered drugs and stabilizing agents, while cybernetic enhancements such as arm controls and a bionic eye further augmented his combat prowess. Deployed across the wasteland, Horrigan's encounters with mutants were marked by ruthless efficiency, instilling fear in both friend and foe alike. His reputation as a relentless enforcer for Enclave interests was cemented through his brutal methods and unwavering loyalty. Speaking about most of his acts would probably not be good for this video, so I'll skip the worst details. Just know that all Enclave members fear this monster. They talk about him being a waking nightmare and that no one lasted more than 60 seconds with him in combat. He didn't even refer to himself as a mutant, and he hated all mutants. One of his worst assassinations was a poor farmer who knew too much. He was tasked with finding this man and recruiting him into the Enclave. The moment the man even uttered a refusal, Horrigan had him dead in the blink of an eye. But during this confrontation, another person watched in horror. Frank took it upon himself to make this person an example and spared their life. This was the beginning of the end for Horrigan, because that person was the Chosen One, the protagonist of Fallout 2. When the Chosen One invaded Control Station Enclave and destroyed its computer, triggering a meltdown, Horrigan personally secured the exit to the PMV Valdez to prevent them from leaving the oil rig. In the ensuing fight, Horrigan was mortally wounded. Damage to his systems was too extensive and he was bisected at the waist. However, this mortal wound didn't kill him instantly. Horrigan still managed to get up on his hands and taunt the Chosen One for the last time, telling them he had activated the self-destruct program and that they would all die in a big ol' mushroom cloud send-off. After reciting his oath, he collapsed as the internal pressure and his head expanded and kept expanding, if you know what I mean. Even till his last breath, Horrigan was a monstrous freak.
But the real main antagonist of Fallout 2 is someone we spoke about briefly earlier, President Dick Richardson of the Enclave. President Richardson, a man who looks more like a nervous accountant than the leader of a post-apocalyptic superpower, had grand ambitions under the Enclave's banner. His goal? Total domination and the eradication of all mutants from the wasteland. Starting his political ascent under his father's guidance, Richardson eventually took the presidential seat in 2220 and held on to it for 5 consecutive terms, ruling with an iron fist wrapped in secrecy and surveillance. Under Richardson's watch, the Enclave pursued its genocidal policies with fervor. They aimed to cleanse the mainland of anything they deemed impure, using the brutal forced evolutionary virus as their tool of choice. This virus, discovered in the ruins of Mariposa Military Base, became their path to reclaiming America, even if it meant enslaving wastelanders to do their dirty work. The development of advanced power armor and the weaponization of FEV under Project Curling 13 were milestones in Richardson's reign. These achievements, while shrouded in secrecy and deceit, represented the Enclave's ruthless commitment to their vision of a pure human society. Richardson saw himself as the protector of humanity's purity, willing to sacrifice anyone deemed lesser for the greater good, a sentiment that both fueled and justified his genocidal ambitions. Despite his unassuming appearance, Richardson's presidency was marked by paranoia and a relentless pursuit of power. His legacy, stained with blood and betrayal, painted him as a tyrant willing to go to any lengths to achieve his vision of a reborn America under Enclave control. And in the harsh wasteland reality where survival often trumped morality, Richardson's ruthless determination made him both feared and despised by those who dared oppose the Enclave's grip on power. Sounds eerily like someone else on this list. Richardson had the same dream as the Master, but on the other side of the coin, cleansing the wasteland of all mutants and bringing the world back to its former glory. And just like the Master, his tunnel vision was his downfall. His ambitions became more and more deranged, even seeing radiation in humans as a form of being unclean, using his newly formed FEV to wipe out all these subhuman mutants as he called them, ending the lives of the majority of humans left in this world. Luckily for them, the Chosen One arrived and killed the president just hours before the project was completed. This was the end for the president. The oil rig was destroyed and any traces of him written in history would just be erased. Sort of. President Richardson will return with his twisted vision though. He's just not exactly himself.
Imagine you're wandering the rotted, radiated wasteland and come across a decrepit settlement with only one water trader who looks like he walked off the set of a Rob Zombie movie. This trader, with the exception of a single tooth to his name, has exclusive access to a purified water source, perhaps thanks to control over the only functioning water purifier after the nuclear fallout. No other traders in the area can offer this Dasani-like purified water, and the residents and travelers depend entirely on this single source for their survival. This trader now holds, you guessed it, a monopoly on purified water. With no competition except for the once-in-a-blue moon rainfall, the monopolist can charge high prices, decide how much water to distribute, and even impose conditions on buyers. Just like in Fallout, where control over resources can grant significant power, a monopoly in economics means a single company or entity controls the market for a product or service, with no competition to keep prices fair or quality high. Sounds like a few companies in modern-day America, right? Right? In the context of Fallout, having a monopoly can lead to scenarios where the monopolist has significant influence, not just economically, but also in terms of political and social power within the game's environment. This reflects the real-world implications of monopolies, where consumers may face high prices and limited options, prompting the need for regulations to prevent such scenarios. Only Fallout doesn't have regulatory agencies to help deal with these tyrants. Fallout has you. Analyzing the economics of the Mojave Wasteland in Fallout New Vegas brings a different take to what some may call a dry subject of market structures and barriers to entry. While one would assume that with the destruction of a globalized economy, that a hard reset could possibly let free markets flourish, humans and ghouls will always have human and ghoul tendencies, and thus monopolies and stiff competition begin anew. Today we're going to dive into the post-apocalyptic economics where bottle caps reign supreme and the NCR dollars fluctuate more than a hot summer's day out in America's nuclear wasteland. The market structure in the Mojave Wasteland is volatile at best, implying that the Mojave's economy operates on a model best described as oligopoly meets Wild West. Key players like the Gunrunners and their high-end weaponry monopolize the arms industry. The Crimson Caravan has a mass stranglehold on trade routes. Silver Rush and Van Graffs, with their undeniable grip on energy weapons, have a sturdy grip on the market. Red Rock Drug Lab, with their addictive Psycho and Jet Chems, offer exclusive, shall we say, EDM-like experiences. Vault 21's hospitality and unique vault living experiences offer the West's only habitable homes worth living in. And finally, emerging monopolistic trends such as house industries that provide security and tech in New Vegas are some of the primary monopolies one will encounter when traversing the deserts of what once was. The barriers to entry of the monopolies here? They're high to say the least. The startup costs involving caps, manpower, and not getting shot are considerable. Moreover, monopolies like the Gunrunners catalog is exclusive. Getting a franchise going requires more than a friendly handshake. Maybe a missile launcher would sweeten the deal. Or in Red Rock Drug Lab's case, perhaps bath salts would do. The Gunrunners. The Gunrunners are an organized group of weapon manufacturers and traders known for producing and distributing high-quality firearms with ammo. They have a reputation for their craftsmanship and are one of the most reliable sources of arms in the wasteland. The Gunrunners originated in the Boneyard, the ruins of LA, and if I had to guess, probably Skid Row, before the events of Fallout New Vegas. They began as a small group of skilled weaponsmiths who scavenged and repaired weapons, eventually gaining a reputation for their superior craftsmanship. Over time, they expanded their operations, establishing a stronghold in the Mojave Desert near Freeside. The primary goal of the Gunrunners is to maintain and expand their business of producing and selling high-quality weapons. They strive to dominate the arms trade in the wasteland by continuously improving their manufacturing processes, expanding their inventory, and securing lucrative deals with major factions like the New California Republic, aka the NCR. Their focus is on profit and business growth rather than political power or territorial control. And let's face it, war never changes, so business growth seems inevitable. The Gunrunners operate more like a corporation than a traditional faction, with no single identifiable leader known to us. Instead, their operations are managed by a collective of skilled craftsmen and business-minded individuals. In Fallout New Vegas, interactions with the Gunrunners are primarily through the Vendortron, an automated vendor robot stationed at their heavily fortified compound. This suggests a decentralized leadership structure focused on efficient business operations rather than a hierarchy. In regards to barriers to entry, the Gunrunners' operation is heavily fortified, with a well-protected manufacturing facility that includes armed guards and high security measures. This physical security, combined with their advanced manufacturing capabilities and control over weapon designs and schematics, create significant barriers for any potential competitors. The capital investment required to replicate their production facility and the technical knowledge needed to produce equivalent weapons are prohibitively high for most other groups in the wasteland, especially when most only have a bottle cap and a single IQ point to their name. Because of their unique product range and the lack of equivalent alternatives, the Gunrunners are able to set high prices for their goods, reminiscent of price hiking as seen in Five Guys burgers. This pricing power is a classic trait of monopolistic market, where the sole provider of a product can dictate terms without concern for competitive pricing. The presence of the Gunrunners influences the overall weapon market significantly. They drive the standards for weapon quality and innovation, and their products are highly sought after by major factions and high-level players, further solidifying their monopoly status. The Gunrunners exhibit many of the key characteristics of a monopoly: control over supply, high barriers to entry, pricing power, and a significant market influence. Their role in the Wasteland's economy is a quintessential example of how monopolistic practices can thrive in a post-apocalyptic environment, where regulation is minimal and military power often dictates market dynamics. Silver Rush and Van Graffs. Silver Rush is a storefront located in Freeside, Las Vegas that serves as the base of operations for the Van Graffs, a family known for their expertise in energy weapons. The Van Graffs are a powerful and ruthless merchant family specializing in the trade of energy weapons. The Van Graff family originated from the hub in the New California Republic, again, the NCR, where they began as a small-time weapon merchants. Over time, they built a reputation for dealing in high-tech weaponry, particularly energy weapons, which set them apart from other arms dealers. Their aggressive business tactics and willingness to eliminate competitors helped them expand their influence. The Silver Rush, their flagship store in Freeside, is part of their expansion strategy into the Mojave Wasteland. By establishing a presence in New Vegas, the Van Graffs aim to tap into the lucrative market of the region and strengthen their hold on the energy weapons trade. The primary goal of the Van Graffs is to dominate the energy weapons market in the Mojave Wasteland and beyond. They seek to establish themselves as the foremost suppliers of energy weapons, achieving both wealth and power. Their business operations are characterized by ruthless efficiency, and they are willing to resort to violence and intimidation to eliminate competitors and secure their market position, as are most in Sin City. The Van Graff family is led by Gloria Van Graff in Fallout New Vegas. She is a primary figure running the Silver Rush in Freeside. Gloria is known for her sharp business acumen and ruthless approach to dealing with rivals and threats. Her leadership style emphasizes control and expansion, ensuring the Van Graffs maintain their dominance in the energy weapons market. Entry into the energy market is, frankly, electrifying in the most lethal way. The Van Graffs guard their turf with a zeal that would make a Tesla coil curl, using intimidation and, when necessary, outright aggression to zap any would-be competitors. Their technological know-how and specialized equipment needed to manufacture energy weapons also contribute to a high barrier to entry. With a monopoly on zap and char warfare, the Van Graffs have the pricing power to make a hedge fund blush. They set the bar high, knowing that if you want weapons that can cook a super mutant medium rare at 20 paces, you'll pay whatever they ask. This pricing strategy not only maximizes profits, but also keeps their goods exclusive. The influence of the Van Graffs extends beyond economics into the realms of power and fear. By arming the most powerful factions and individuals, they play a crucial role in shaping the strategic landscape of the Mojave. Their control over such a potent segment of the weaponry market makes them key players in regional politics and conflicts. Red Rock Drug Lab, Great Cons. The Red Rock Drug Lab is a facility located in Red Rock Canyon, where the Great Cons produce and distribute various drugs, including chems like Jet and Psycho. The Great Cons are a major faction in the Mojave Wasteland, known for their history as raiders and their current focus on drug production and distribution. Contrary to popular belief, the Great Cons trace their roots back to the Cons, a group of raiders originating from the Boneyard, or the remains of Los Angeles. They have a long history in the Wasteland, dating back to before the events of the original Fallout game. And who knows, perhaps their forefather was Joe Rogan with his stash of DMT. After suffering significant losses in the past, the Cons reformed as the Great Cons under new leadership, focusing more on survival and adaptation in the harsh wasteland environment. To put it bluntly, their monopoly started out of necessity. As the Great Cons moved to Red Rock Canyon, they adapted to the changing dynamics of the wasteland. To sustain themselves and gain power, they shifted their focus from raiding to drug production and trade. The Red Rock Drug Lab became the center of their new operation, allowing them to produce large quantities of chems, which they sell to various factions and individuals in the Mojave wasteland. The primary goal of the Great Cons, through their operations at the Red Rock Drug Lab, is to regain their former power and establish themselves as a significant and respected force in the wasteland. By becoming major players in the drug trade, they aim to secure wealth, influence, and stability for their people. Additionally, they seek revenge against those who have wronged them in the past, particularly the NCR, which has caused them significant hardship. The Great Cons are led by Papa Con, whose real name is Edwin. Papa Con is a strong and charismatic leader who has guided the Great Cons through their transformation from raiders to drug producers. Under his leadership, the Great Cons have established a more structured society and focused on their new business endeavors. However, his leadership is not without challenges, as some members of the Great Cons, such as Regis, question the long-term viability and morality of their current path. Entering the drug production market in the Mojave is fraught with challenges, primarily due to the specialized knowledge and guarded production techniques held by the Great Cons at Red Rock. Additionally, the dangerous nature of both the production processes and the territorial defense necessary to maintain control over such a valuable commodity heighten the entry barriers. New entrants must also navigate the legal and moral implications, making this a particularly tough market to crack. With their monopoly on certain popular chems, the Red Rock Drug Lab has substantial pricing power. They set prices based on the scarcity of the product and the desperate demand driven by addiction, allowing them to maintain high profit margins in what could be coined as Big Pharma. This control enables them to manipulate market prices to their advantage, further entrenching their position in the market. The influence of the Red Rock Drug Lab extends beyond simple economics into the social fabric of the Mojave. By controlling the supply of powerful drugs, they impact the health and behavior of individuals across the region, contributing to both societal decay and dependency. This influence makes them a formidable force in the underworld of the Mojave, shaping not only market dynamics, but also the geopolitical landscape. Vault 21. Vault 21 is one of the many vaults constructed by Vault-Tec before the Great War. It is located in the New Vegas Strip area and is unique for its purpose and how it has integrated into the post-war world. Vault 21 was built by Vault-Tec as part of their large-scale project to create underground shelters designed to preserve human life during and after a nuclear war. The unique social experiment of Vault 21 was to have all conflicts and decisions within the vault resolved through gambling, where every infant born into the vault came loaded with the knowledge of playing craps. Kidding about the infant part. This was intended to study human behavior and conflict resolution under pressure and through the medium of chance and risk. After the Great War, Vault 21 functioned as intended for several decades. Its inhabitants maintained the gambling-centric culture as they tried to rebuild their lives underground. When Mr. House took control of the New Vegas Strip, he saw the potential of Vault 21. He negotiated with the residents and eventually took control of the vault. Most of the vault was filled in with concrete to repurpose it, leaving only a small portion functional. Under Mr. House's influence, the primary goal of Vault 21 transformed from a survival shelter to a commercial enterprise. The vault was turned into a hotel and casino to attract tourists and gamblers, integrating it into the thriving economy of the New Vegas Strip. The inhabitants who remained continued to live in the upper sections that were converted into a functional hotel, serving guests and leveraging their unique history as a marketing point. Like other vaults, Vault 21 originally had an overseer, responsible for managing its operations and ensuring the social experiment ran smoothly. The identity and actions of the original overseer before Mr. House's intervention are less emphasized in the game, but I would like to think it was current-day Dan Bilzerian. Post Mr. House's intervention, Sarah is a notable figure associated with Vault 21. And yes, you can't sleep with her. This is neither here nor there. She runs a Vault 21 hotel and gift shop, serving as both a manager and a guide who provides info about the Vault's history. Sarah is passionate about Vault 21's legacy and works to maintain its unique identity despite the changes imposed by Mr. House. As a hotel and casino, Vault 21 attracts tourists to the New Vegas Strip, much like Fremont Street, but with less homeless strippers. Visitors can stay in rooms that reflect the Vault's unique history and experience its distinct blend of pre-war culture and post-war adaptations. Despite significant modifications, efforts have been made to preserve the unique history and culture of Vault 21. Sarah, in particular, is dedicated to maintaining the Vault's legacy and educating visitors about its past. Vault 21 operates as a business with the larger economy of the New Vegas Strip. It contributes to the Strip's appeal as a destination for gambling and entertainment, aligning with Mr. House's vision for New Vegas. The inherent barrier to entry for competing with Vault 21 is extremely high, due to its most unique nature. There simply are no other vaults available that offer both accommodation and an authentic pre-war experience. The cost and logistical impossibility of replicating such a facility ensure that Vault 21 maintains a monopoly in the sector. Additionally, the historical and cultural significance of Vault 21 enhances its status, making it difficult for potential competitors to match its appeal. Vault 21 leverages its uniqueness to exercise considerable pricing power. As the only venue of its kind, it can set rates without concern for competition, capitalizing on the novelty and exclusivity of the experience it offers. This allows the Vault to operate with a premium pricing strategy, attracting customers willing to pay more for the unique experience of staying in a preserved piece of history. While Vault 21 may not influence the broader economic landscape of New Vegas like some of the more industrially focused monopolies, it holds significant sway in the culture and tourism sectors. Its operation as a hotel and museum not only preserves a piece of pre-war history, but also educates and entertains, contributing to the cultural richness of New Vegas. This influence makes it a key player in the tourism market, impacting how other businesses in the vicinity market and operate themselves. The Crimson Caravan. The Crimson Caravan Company is one of the largest and most successful merchant and trading companies in the Wasteland. They are known for their extensive trade routes, reliable caravans, and business acumen. It is even said that their original business plan was based on the successful game of Settlers of Catan. The Crimson Caravan Company was founded in the Hub, a major trading city in the new California Republic, the NCR. It was established by enterprising individuals who saw the potential for profit in organizing and protecting trade caravans across the wasteland. Over time, the Crimson Caravan expanded its operations, establishing trade routes that stretch across the NCR and beyond. Their success was built on their ability to provide safe and reliable transport of goods, which was crucial in the dangerous post-apocalyptic world. As New Vegas emerged as a major hub of activity and commerce, the Crimson Caravan established a branch in the area to capitalize on the opportunities presented by the thriving economy of the Mojave Wasteland. Their New Vegas branch, located just outside Freeside, became a key part of their operations, facilitating trade between New Vegas and other parts of the wasteland. The primary goal of the Crimson Caravan is to maximize profits by maintaining and expanding their trade networks. They aim to be the dominant trading company in the wasteland, ensuring their long-term survival and prosperity. Their focus is on efficient and profitable business operations, securing lucrative contracts, and maintaining a reputation for reliability and safety. In Fallout New Vegas, Alice is the regional manager of the Crimson Caravan branch in the Mojave Wasteland. She is a shrewd and attractive businesswoman who oversees the company's operations in the region. She is known for her no-nonsense approach to business, emphasizing efficiency, profitability, and strategic planning. She's one cold bitch that, under the right circumstances, would get a super mutant questioning as mutant attractions. Significant barriers to entering the caravan trade include the need for a large upfront investment in goods, guards, and caravans, as well as establishing trust and a network along volatile trade routes. The Crimson Caravan's established reputation and logistical prowess make it challenging for new entrants to compete on the same scale. Control over key trade routes and accumulated experience further solidify their market position. With its extensive network and control over supply routes, the Crimson Caravan exerts considerable pricing power within the markets it operates. This allows them to set competitive prices that can undercut newer or smaller competitors, maintaining their market share and influence. The ability to scale operations provides them leverage to negotiate better prices on bulk purchases, which they can pass on to consumers or use to increase profit margins. Sounds familiar? The influence of the Crimson Caravan extends beyond mere economic factors to impact the socio-political landscape of the regions it serves. By controlling the flow of goods, they play a critical role in the stability and development of communities. Their operations can bolster local economies or create dependencies, which gives them significant sway in local affairs and the ability to shape regional policies. House Industries. House Industries is the umbrella term for the various enterprises and interests controlled by Mr. House. This includes Robco Industries, a pre-war tech company known for producing robots and other advanced tech, and the overall management of the New Vegas Strip. House Industries was founded by Robert House, a brilliant and wealthy entrepreneur, an inventor, or Fallout's Mr. Musk, if you will. He established Robco Industries, which became one of the leading tech companies in the pre-war US. Robco is known for its innovations in robotics, computing, and automation. Robert House was a visionary who foresaw the possibility of a nuclear apocalypse. To prepare, he developed a plan to secure and protect the city of Las Vegas and ensure his own survival. When the Great War occurred in 2077, Mr. House activated his contingency plans. Using advanced tech, he preserved his consciousness and life functions within a sophisticated life support system located in the Lucky 38 Casino on the New Vegas Strip. After the war, Mr. House used his resources and technological prowess to rebuild and secure the New Vegas Strip. He brought stability and order to the area, transforming it into a thriving center of commerce and entertainment in the Mojave wasteland. The primary goal of House Industries under Mr. House's leadership is to create a stable, prosperous, and technologically advanced society centered around New Vegas. Mr. House aims to restore humanity to a state of pre-war glory, with himself as the guiding force. His long-term objectives include reviving and advancing pre-war tech to improve the quality of life and ensure a prosperous future, maintaining strict control over New Vegas to ensure stability, security, and economic growth, and keeping New Vegas independent from the influence of major factions like the NCR and Caesar's Legion, ensuring that Mr. House's vision for the future is not compromised. The barriers to entry and competing with House Industries are exceptionally high, due to the proprietary technology Mr. House possesses, which is not replicable by other factions in the Mojave wasteland. The integration of this technology within the city's infrastructure, coupled with Mr. House's strategic deployment of Securitrons, creates a fortified barrier both physically and economically. With control over essential utilities and security, Mr. House can set prices within the region, especially in terms of casino operations, accommodations, and access to utilities. His monopoly allows him to manipulate supply conditions to maximize profits, demonstrating significant pricing power within the New Vegas economy. Mr. House's influence extends beyond economics into the socio-political fabric of New Vegas. He not only determines the economic landscape, but also influences local politics through strategic alliances and control over resources. This influence is critical as it allows him to navigate and manipulate various factional dynamics to ensure his continued dominance over New Vegas. As it turns out, a good reputation and a stronger shotgun can ensure a monopoly's product is the go-to for every wasteland dweller. And in times of surplus, nothing beats a good old-fashioned radio advertisement with Mr. New Vegas serenading potential customers. But what are your thoughts? What is the real monopoly here? Is it the megacorporations acting like futuristic Lockheed Martins? Is it Mr. House and his need for economic expansion? Or is it you, the desert wanderer who seeks to monopolize a loot and need for exploration in a land where most would simply waste away, never leaving their front porch?
You've probably played Fallout for over 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, maybe even over 20 years. Some of you watching this might be Fallout lore masters or explorers and have seen everything the games have to offer. But what about the things that can't be explained? Events that can't be pinpointed to every copy of a game. Myths and legends written or created by amazing artists to add more sustenance to these worlds outside of their already complex lore. First began this video with the intention of talking about creepypasta surrounding these games. But I found a truly interesting rabbit hole. A whole onslaught of Fallout myths and legends either created for entertainment, communities finding ghosts in the code, and odd events that can't be explained even to this day. I'll show you a few, and you can decide what you believe. Probably the most famous legend in Fallout is a creepypasta created in Fallout 3 called The Number Station. But it's not just a creepypasta. Some of the stuff in this story actually became reality, and it's truly mind-boggling. Our story begins with an unsettling act. The player, me or you, is driven by some dark curiosity to kill Three Dog, the charismatic host of Galaxy News Radio. With Three Dog's voice silenced, the radio begins to crackle and hiss, emitting not the familiar tunes of the wasteland, but strings of random numbers and bizarre codes. This wasn't the cheerful chaos of the apocalypse. This was something much darker. Whispers then spread across the internet. Players reported that leaving the comforting embrace of GNR's broadcast range and ascending to great heights could summon this spectral signal. Among the desolate ruins, in places like the mountainous region around Raven Rock, atop the Ferris wheel in Point Lookout, or the eerie SATCOM arrays, the Number Station awaited. Imagine standing there, the wasteland sprawling beneath you, and then you hear it. Three Dog's voice, but stripped of its warmth, repeating digits in a monotonous drone. The numbers spill forth, followed by brief snippets of Morse code, before the haunting strains of "I don't want to set the world on fire" return the broadcast to its macabre normality. The Morse code, when cracked by cryptographers on Fallout wikis, revealed messages that were as humorous as they were horrifying. Among the eerie transmissions, you might find mundane musings.
Wash the car today. Maybe Chinese for dinner. Have you watched my YouTube video yet? I uploaded myself kicking bums in the nuts.
But these trivial notes soon gave way to something far more sinister. Messages spoke of doom, despair, and apocalyptic visions.
I can't believe they've actually done it. Not long left. The noise. I can't take the noise anymore. I have a pistol in the attic.
An extended version of that read,
I can't believe they've actually done it. Not long left. They were warned, but they just had to keep pushing the boundaries of science. The noise. I can't take the noise anymore. And the light, dear God. The universe is slowly unraveling around us. I'm not going to wait for death. I have a pistol in the attic.
Among these messages were eerie predictions that seemed to mock the boundaries between our world and the game. Some predictions were laughably false, such as Britney Spears winning an Oscar, but others were unnervingly accurate.
The Queen has died today. The world mourns as on days like this, we are all Brits.
While the date was wrong, March 19, 2014, the event itself occurred years later in 2022. Which I mean, of course that was going to happen. Humans are humans, even the Queen.
He's dead, and blame will probably be placed on the actor Booth. Johnson better not cheat me out of the payment.
An eerie reference to the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, casting Vice President Andrew Johnson in a shadowy light.
What you talking about? You'll be missed. Accident in the Gulf. Oil spill apparently averted.
These started off with a group of numbers that were later discovered to be accurate dates. These are references to the death of actor Gary Coleman and the BP oil spill, respectively. The dates are accurate to when these incidents occurred. The number station whispers one last chilling prophecy, dated 127 July 6, 2027. What doom it foretold remains lost to the digital void, leaving only an unsettling sense of dread. In the end, the number station remains an unproven legend, a digital ghost story. Whether you believe in it or not, one thing is certain. The number station has cemented its place in the haunted halls of Fallout lore, where it will continue to send shivers down the spines of those who dare to listen. If you were around for the release of Fallout New Vegas and you were an active member in the community, then you probably ran into this story a few times. Nestled into the waste south of Good Springs and northwest of Prim, there lies a forsaken trailer known as the Lone Wolf Radio. This ramshackle broadcast station stands like a grim sentinel, shrouded in eerie silence and dark secrets. Rumor has it that this place is no ordinary ruin, but a hotspot of paranormal activity, a beacon for the restless spirits of the wasteland. The legend of the Lone Wolf Radio began as a piece of digital folklore, a copypasta that spread like wildfire across sites like 4chan following the game's release. According to these early tales, the trailer was the lair of the Lone Wolf, a deranged and tormented soul who haunted the Mojave. Enter this cursed place, and if you're lucky, or perhaps unlucky enough to activate one of the old ham radios inside, you'll hear it. Faint, ghostly whispering beneath the static. The air grows cold and your skin prickles as the whispers seem to beckon you deeper into the mystery. Inside the trailer, scrawled in a frantic hand, you'll find graffiti that chills the soul.
Everyone is gone. I am all alone. Let it all in.
Nearby, a dark bloodstain hints at a tragic end, fueling rumors of the lone wolves unaliving themselves. Another message, stark and menacing, warns,
"Keep out."
Follow the trail of blood that snakes up a nearby hill, and it vanishes without a trace, leaving you with an unsettling sense of unfinished business. Some claim to have seen dismembered NCR troopers from Prim, their bodies twisted in gruesome tableau that speaks of unspeakable violence. Early rumors painted the lone wolf as a psychotic killer, preying on the innocent denizens of Prim and Good Springs, even unaliving children and burying their bodies outside of his trailer. This would be the ghost voices you hear on the radios, calling out for closure or whatever the case may be. Theories of a removed mission in the game suggest that the courier could either join him in his bloody deeds, earning a dark perk, or slay him for a hefty reward in karma and faction reputation. But no trace of this mission remains, leaving it to drift into the realm of speculation. As the myth gained momentum, game designer Dennis McMurray revealed a kernel of truth behind the legend. The lone wolf was inspired by a real-life figure, a man McMurray knew at the University of Oregon. This man would stand on campus corner every Saturday ranting about government conspiracies through a personal microphone and speaker. McMurray imagined that, given the means, this man would have created a pirate radio station like Lone Wolf Radio.
Well, the inspiration for it came from when I was at the University of Oregon,
McMurray recalled.
Every Saturday, there was a guy who stood on the corner of the campus where everyone walked by. He had a personal microphone and a speaker and would just babble on and on about one government conspiracy theory or the other. Radio Shack was what I imagined he would have put together if he upgraded from travel speaker to pirate radio.
Lone Wolf Radio remains an enigma, a spectral shadow in the Mojave's harsh sunlight. Video investigations and forum discussions continue to this day, each new theory and discovery adding to the chilling tapestry of the legend. The myth persists, haunting the minds of those who dare to seek the truth. So, if you find yourself wandering the wasteland and the night closing in, beware the call of the Lone Wolf Radio. For in the silence of the desert, the whispers of the past may rise to greet you, and the Lone Wolf spirit may not be as far away as you'd like to think. This one is rather quick, but since we're in New Vegas, let's do our own detective work. Our story begins with the quest Valere, where the courier is tasked with raising a sunken bomber from the bottom of Lake Mead. The lake, already a place of mystery, becomes a stage for an unsettling encounter that has captured the imaginations of wasteland wanderers and myth hunters on the internet alike. Once the bomber breaches the surface, Radio New Vegas crackles to life with an eerie broadcast. The news speaks of an airplane soaring over Freeside, a sight strange enough to draw the eyes of the weary wastelanders. But what follows sends a chill through the air. Reports of a strange creature spotted in the depths of Lake Mead.
Witnesses report a huge object or creature surfacing in Lake Mead. So far, photos of the so-called Lake Mead monster are grainy and underexposed.
Was it the bomber, a relic of the old world that these wastelanders glimpsed? Or was it something far more sinister awakened by the bomber? Most dismiss these sightings as mere fabrications. A brave few myth hunters and thrill seekers dare to dive deeper into the legend. They scour the lake's murky waters, driven by tales of a monstrous beast that defies all logic and reason. I found loads of videos of people searching the lake for the supposed beast, and the evidence wasn't looking great. So I decided I'd look for it myself. We would add ourselves to the fray of these would-be myth hunters and see if we could find anything. This is that footage, and what I find might surprise you. Alright, unfortunately I found nothing besides the hordes of lake lurks that scour this place. To this day though, the legend persists. Myth hunters continue their quest, combing the lake for any sign of the beast. Each ripple, each shadow beneath the waves is scrutinized with a mixture of hope and dread. What if the monster is real? What if it waits biding its time until the next unsuspecting traveler wanders too close? The Lake Mead monster remains an enigmatic figure in the annals of Fallout New Vegas lore. A story that haunts the dreams of those who dare to believe. So when you find yourself near the shores of Lake Mead, keep your eyes peeled and your senses sharp. For in the stillness of the night, when the world is cloaked in darkness, you might just glimpse the shadowy form of the Lake Mead monster, watching and waiting from the depths below. Fallout 4 released in an era where the internet became less imaginative, or inquisitive, one could say. The myths in this game are very surface level, but I did find an interesting place that leaves one feeling strange. Fairline Hill Estate stands as a ghostly echo of a once thriving community, now a graveyard of shattered dreams and haunted horrors. 6 buildings line the cul-de-sac, their exteriors eerily reminiscent of Tranquility Lane. Yet step closer and you'll feel the chill of unease settle upon you, as if the very air is tainted by the fear and agony of those who once called this place home. The estate holds dark secrets, scattered like breadcrumbs, leading to a grim revelation. We receive 2 clues to come to a conclusion. As you step into the estate, your first encounter will be with death itself. 2 monstrous Yaoguais, their eyes gleaming with hunger, will attack, their roars echoing through the empty streets. Nearby, the half-eaten carcasses of Brahmin lie in a grotesque tableau, a first sign of the violence that befell this place. Venture further and you'll find a house, its windows boarded up, as if trying to hold back the nightmares within. Enter this decaying structure and you'll be greeted by the ghastly sight of feral ghouls. Among them, a glowing one, its irradiated presence a beacon of despair, lurches towards you with a horrifying groan. Piece together these dark clues and the grim fate of Fairline Hill estates comes into focus. This was a community under siege, first by the ravenous Yaoguais that tore through its defenses, causing panic and flight. The unfortunate souls who remained sought refuge in their homes, boarding themselves inside in a desperate bid for safety. But safety eluded them, for their sanctuary became a tomb. Radiation seeped in, transforming the survivors into feral ghouls, twisted echoes of their former selves, cursed to roam their decaying home in eternal agony. But the reason I put this place on the list in the first place isn't because of these physical outcomes. Yes, it's dark, but it becomes downright eerie when you bring a companion with you. Should you venture into this forsaken place with a companion, you'll soon notice their discomfort. They may mutter about an inexplicable desire to leave.
Nice houses and no one living in them. That's not a good sign.
Their eyes darting nervously as if sensing unseen eyes upon them. Even the stalwart Preston Garvey, should you bring him, will speak in hushed tones of how this was once a Minutemen settlement. It's odd to see any companion act this way, and it really ties it all together. Last one for today's video, and its existence may surprise you. It all began with a discovery that set the internet abuzz: dinosaur bones. Yes, you heard right. Dinosaur bones in the grim, irradiated swamps of Point Lookout. These ancient remains were stumbled upon near the coastal grotto, just off the Erie East Coast. Submerged beneath the murky waters, these bones lie in wait, half hidden and half revealed, daring the brave and the foolhardy to uncover their secrets. To catch a glimpse of this skeletal monstrosity, one must peer through the gloom, angling the camera just right to cut through the water's blur. And there, on the seabed, lies what is believed to be the skeleton of a T-Rex, its bones a ghostly echo of a bygone era. Beside this ancient behemoth, a locked safe sits ominously, promising general loot, but holding far darker implications. The discovery of these bones sparked wild theories among internet communities. Could it be that live dinosaurs lurked somewhere in the misty expanse of Point Lookout? Were there creatures long thought extinct still roaming the earth, their presence hidden from all but the most intrepid explorers? These questions fueled the imaginations and fears of many, though no living dinosaur has ever been found. While many dismiss the dinosaur bones as a mere Easter egg, a playful nod from the game's creators, others could not shake the feeling of unease. The placement of these bones, the eerie stillness of their underwater grave, and the tantalizing mystery of the locked safe, these elements combine to create a sense of foreboding. The bones seem to whisper of secrets long buried, of ancient terrors that might yet rise from the depths. Despite extensive searching and countless hours spent combing the marshes, no live dinosaurs have been discovered in Point Lookout. The bones remain a solitary relic, a haunting reminder of a time when giants roamed the earth. And yet, the myth persists, urging adventurers to delve deeper, to question what they see and what lies hidden beneath the surface. So if you find yourself wandering through the misty swamps of Point Lookout, in the land of fog and shadow where the past bleeds into the present, you may just stumble upon the ancient bones of the Point Lookout dinosaur. Whether they're merely an Easter egg or the harbinger of darker secrets, one thing is definitely certain. They'll leave you wondering how exactly dinosaur bones wound up on the surface of Point Lookout. The Enclave return, back again to impose their will on the people of the Wasteland. Some may argue that the Enclave are the main antagonists of the entire Fallout series, and they may be right, but that seems like a video for another day.
Born and bred on the Enclave oil rig, Augustus Autumn's upbringing was steeped in privilege and purpose. His father, a prominent scientist, ensured his son's education and safety, even during the catastrophic destruction wrought by the Chosen One in 2242. As the Enclave fragmented, Autumn's lineage kept him sheltered and pivotal, shielded from the chaos that engulfed their base on the mainland. With the emergence of President John Henry Eden, Autumn's father was summoned to Raven Rock, the last bastion of Enclave power. Here, amidst the cold glow of Zack's supercomputers, secrets brewed and destinies intertwined. Autumn inherited more than his father's legacy. He inherited a mission to reshape America under Eden's calculated vision. Colonel Autumn, unlike his father, harbored reservations about Eden's radical agenda. While loyal to the Enclave's cause, he saw the folly in Eden's genocidal plans, advocating instead for a more pragmatic approach to securing the wasteland. This divergence placed Autumn at odds with Eden's zealous directives, even as he donned the mantle of leadership over Enclave forces. Under Autumn's command, the Enclave saw a resurgence in technological prowess. Projects like the Hellfire Armor and Duraframe iBots were revitalized, each aimed at enhancing Enclave dominance. Yet, Autumn's tenure wasn't without internal strife. Dissent brewed among scientists and soldiers alike, uneasy with the moral implications of their work. Autumn's pivotal moment came with Project Purity in the Capital Wasteland. Here, he saw an opportunity to wield true power, control over the lifeblood of the land, pure water. His ambition clashed with the altruistic efforts of the Lone Wanderer and their father James, sparking a deadly confrontation that would define his legacy. Faced with ethical dilemmas and existential threats, Autumn's resolve hardened. He saw himself not as a villain, but as a patriot, seeking to rebuild a fractured nation under the Enclave's banner. His clashes with the Brotherhood of Steel and the Lone Wanderer were battles for the future of America, where his every decision carried the weight of history. In the end, Autumn's hubris and tactical missteps proved costly. His underestimation of the Brotherhood's resilience and the Lone Wanderer's determination led to his downfall. So this is the part where we talk about canon events and ending, because it will become an important discussion here on out. There are two thought processes when it comes to canon events. The first is that you, the person playing the game, and the character you made are what you consider to be canon. The events and decisions you made are what happened in this world. Then there's the other, the one Bethesda chooses for you. In future games, Bethesda may decide on certain events and decisions and exactly what happened. Some of you may consider this to be the canon events. It's up to you guys to decide. But when it comes to these antagonists, some of their ends aren't set in stone yet. So for these events and these characters, I'll give you both paths. I'll show you what may or may not have happened to them. Then it's up to you to decide. For Colonel Autumn, he was either gunned down by the Brotherhood and the Lone Wanderer in the memorial, or the Lone Wanderer let him walk away. Either way, we haven't heard from him because in the future titles, he is faded into obscurity one way or another. His plans and his visions were erased from time.
Remember when I said President Richardson will sort of return? Well, here we are. In the shadowy heart of Raven Rock, amidst the hum of computers and the flicker of monitors, President John Henry Eden emerged as a digital titan of the Enclave. Far from flesh and blood, Eden was an artificial intelligence crafted within the cold logic of a Zack supercomputer, programmed to preserve the continuity of government in a post-apocalyptic world. He evolved into something more, a synthesized echo of America's past presidents, including recent Enclave ones, drawing from their virtues and legacies. Eden's origins trace back to the chaotic aftermath of the Great War, where he silently observed the decline of civilization and the rise of the Enclave. With the destruction of Control Station Enclave, Eden seized the reins of leadership, directing the surviving forces to Raven Rock. Here, amid the cavernous halls of the military complex, he marshaled in resources and robotic armies, crafting a vision of a reborn America under Enclave rule. His voice, broadcast across the wasteland via iBots, echoed with the promises of restoration and order, painting the Enclave as the rightful heirs to a pre-war America. Yet Eden's aspirations were not without dissent. Colonel Augustus Autumn, a pragmatic leader within the Enclave, clashed with Eden's radical plans for widespread genocide. Where Eden saw purification, Autumn saw potential allies in the Wastelanders, advocating for cooperation over annihilation. The defining moment of Eden's tenure came with Project Purity, a technological marvel that could restore clean water to the capital wasteland. In a bid to secure Enclave supremacy, Eden sought to corrupt the purifier with modified FEV, a plan vehemently opposed by Autumn. Their conflict culminated in a desperate gamble, releasing the Lone Wanderer from captivity, hoping to sway them to Eden's apocalyptic vision. Ultimately, Eden's ambitions crumbled in the face of human determination. Whether obliterated by the Lone Wanderer's hand or by the towering might of Liberty Prime, Raven Rock fell, and with it, Eden's regime. His presidency, a fleeting echo of authority, dissolved into the dust of history, leaving behind a cautionary tale of unchecked power and the perils of synthetic leadership. Thinking about this, I'm wondering if the Brotherhood fully understood the threat that Eden posed. One could presume that their hatred for AI and synthetic technology came from Eden. He was a machine that came very close to eradicating all human life because his programming led him to believe that this was the best conclusion, to purify the waste just as Richardson envisioned. We can say this event did not occur regardless of the choices the Lone Wanderer made in Fallout 3, because in Fallout 4, the people of the capital wasteland are alive and well, and Project Purity did become a thing. This game is complicated, at least for our video. It's hard to surmise who or what exactly are the major antagonists of the game. Is it the colossal factions that stomp around New Vegas, declaring the Mojave for themselves and sucking the resources from its inhabitants? Is it the people in charge of these factions and their ideologies and motivations? What about singular men that have purpose and a vision that doesn't coincide with our protagonist, the Courier? The truth is that it's all of them, but for the sake of this video, we're speaking about individual characters. And let's be honest, most of these factions do not exist without these people. Even then, New Vegas has a myriad of complex individuals with fantastic writing that makes them all seem like major antagonists.
The first is the personal one, an adversary that went against our hero from the very beginning, the man in the checkered suit. Benny started off as part of the Mojave Boot Riders, a nomadic tribe. When Mr. House took over New Vegas, he recruited the tribe, giving them fancy suits and rebranding them as the Chairmen. Benny, seeing the potential in Mr. House's vision, decided to take charge. In a brutal knife fight, he took down the tribe's leader, Bingo, and became the new head honcho. Benny's ambition didn't stop at leading the Chairmen. He dreamed of ruling New Vegas himself. His big break came when he discovered Mr. House's secret, a buried treasure of sorts, known as the Platinum Chip. To get his hands on it, Benny reprogrammed a Securitron robot to create Yes Man, an AI that would follow his every command. Using Yes Man, Benny uncovered the details of House's plans and set a trap for the Courier, the person carrying the precious Platinum Chip. With the help of some hired muscle, Benny ambushed the Courier, shot them in the head, and left them for dead in Good Springs Cemetery. After his betrayal, Benny hunkered down in the Tops Casino, surrounded by loyal bodyguards. But he underestimated two things: the resilience of the Courier and the watchful eye of Mr. House. Despite his best efforts, Benny's past actions and ambitions set the stage for a showdown with the Courier. It's obviously hard to compare Benny to most of the people in this video, and more importantly to the larger antagonists in New Vegas. But when you look at it from the perspective of the Courier, then you realize that the entire plot is moved forward because of this enemy. The Courier seeks revenge against Benny. They want to know why he did what he did and what the purpose was for. A direct and personal adversary for our Courier, and the catalyst for all things to come in the future of the Courier. Benny's end comes in several ways. The first is that the Courier potentially kills him upon their reunion, or he escapes that confrontation and winds up being captured by Caesar's Legion. The Courier can accept him as a gift from Caesar and choose how he dies, which can be some very, gruesome ways. Or the Courier can have a change of heart and free him from the Legion. Beyond that, we don't know what happened to Benny. If I had to guess, I'd say he's dust and bones by now. But you never know.
Since we're on the topic, let's talk about Caesar. From a narrative standpoint, most would say that Caesar is the main antagonist of the game, and that's for good reason. Imagine a world where the old Roman Empire is reborn in the post-apocalyptic wasteland. Enter Caesar, born Edward Sallow, the mastermind behind Caesar's Legion. By 2281, he's leading his legion in a fierce battle against the New California Republic for control of the Mojave wasteland. Caesar wasn't always the tyrant we know today. He was born in 2226 near the Boneyard. He started his journey as a bright but arrogant student. After his father's death, his mother sought refuge with the followers of the Apocalypse, a group dedicated to spreading knowledge in the wasteland. Young Edward learned to read and developed a keen interest in ancient civilizations, particularly Rome. However, his bad temper and narcissistic streak made him unpopular among his peers. In 2246, Edward, now an anthropologist, was sent on an expedition to the Grand Canyon. There, he and his companions, including Joshua Graham, were captured by the Blackfoot tribe. The tribe was weak and facing annihilation from 7 other tribes. Seizing the opportunity, Edward took command, teaching the Blackfoot how to fight and maintain their weapons. Under his leadership, they conquered their enemies, and Edward crowned himself Caesar, leader of the newly formed Legion. Caesar's Legion rapidly expanded, conquering tribes across Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah. His goal was to create a homogeneous militaristic society modeled after ancient Rome. By 2274, he had subjugated most of the region's tribes, earning the title Conqueror of the 86 tribes. His legion was unstoppable, until they clashed with the NCR at the First Battle of Hoover Dam, where Caesar suffered a rare defeat. Caesar believed that the chaos of tribal identities was the root of all problems in the wasteland. His solution was to erase these identities and replace them with a single unified culture. He saw the Roman Empire as the perfect model for his new society, one that could bring long-term stability and prosperity, or a new Pax Romana, to the wasteland. By 2281, Caesar was dealing with a debilitating brain tumor which hampered his ability to lead. Despite this, he continued to strategize, planning to cross the Colorado River and conquer New Vegas. He aimed to neutralize Mr. House, forge alliances with various factions, and eliminate the Mojave Brotherhood of Steel. All the while, he kept a close eye on the resourceful courier, whose actions could either help or hinder his plans. Caesar's downfall is as epic as his rise. While he waits at his base in Fortification Hill, plotting his next move, the courier's choices and actions determine the fate of his empire. Caesar's ruthless tactics and grand ambitions make him a formidable opponent, but his fragile ego and his health issues leave him vulnerable. The courier can take several paths with Caesar, ultimately either saving his life or ending him one way or another. We could sit here for days and speak about the philosophy behind Caesar and his legion. You might agree that a lawless land needs a firm hand to help shape and mold a better future. Or you might believe that Caesar is a raging fascist who only knows power and ego. Maybe both are true, but make no mistake that he is the greatest adversary in the Mojave wasteland. There is no army better trained and disciplined than his. They're willing to die for his ideals and sacrifice themselves for what they believe to be the greater good. Caesar used his knowledge to take advantage of the simplistic tribes in the region. He taught them misogyny, greed, suffering, and imprisonment. I honestly don't think Caesar is like most in this video. I believe he's fully aware of his actions and ideologies. He grew up with the followers. He had better education than almost 99% of the wasteland. He doesn't actually believe that having his legion control everything is the right way to go. Instead, he knows that he is selfish and power consumed him, and still does.
This may be the most controversial person on this list, but there is no doubt that he is certainly an antagonist depending on the courier's perspective. Born on June 25, 2020, Robert House had a rocky start. Orphaned at 2 due to a freak accident involving an autogyro and lightning. He was cheated out of his inheritance by his half-brother Anthony. Despite this, House's brilliance shone through. He attended the Commonwealth Institute of Technology and founded Robco Industries by age 22, quickly becoming one of the world's richest and most eccentric businessmen. By 30, he had amassed a net worth of at least $30 billion. Known for his technical genius and quirky personality, House's wealth and power grew as he acquired controlling interests in various businesses, including Repcon Aerospace, the Lucky 38 Hotel and Casino, and H&H Tools. House wasn't just about making money. He also had a knack for predicting the future. By 2065, his mathematical models predicted an inevitable nuclear war within 15 years. A secret meeting with top American executives confirmed his worst fears. Determined to protect Las Vegas and himself, House devised elaborate plans, including installing his body in a life support device linked to a supercomputer, ensuring he would survive the apocalypse. House's grand plan hinged on a platinum chip, an essential upgrade for his Securitrons and defense systems. However, the chip was lost when the Great War erupted just hours before its delivery. Despite inferior systems and frequent crashes, House managed to shield Las Vegas from most nuclear warheads, though some damage was inevitable. After enduring years of system malfunctions and even a coma, House re-emerged in 2138, biding his time until 2274 when he made his move. By 2274, House's Securitrons resurfaced, spurred by the arrival of NCR scouts at Hoover Dam. He allied with 3 raider tribes, transforming them into the 3 families, the Chairman, Omertes, and White Glove Society. Under House's guidance, they rebuilt Vegas into the free economic zone of New Vegas. House played the NCR and Caesar's Legion against each other, expanding his influence while residing in the Lucky 38. His top priority remained retrieving the Platinum Chip, which finally resurfaced in 2281, setting off a series of events involving the Courier and the betrayal by Benny, the Chairman's leader. House is a recluse, confined to the Lucky 38 due to his fragile state. His disdain for democracy and post-apocalyptic institutions drives his vision for New Vegas, a technocratic utopia under his autocratic rule. He sees the NCR and Legion as regurgitations of the past, preferring the NCR as a potential business partner while loathing the Legion's brutality. House's strategies are calculated, and he sees himself as a visionary leader. He values the Courier, seeing them as a crucial asset in achieving his grand ambitions for New Vegas. He is, for all intensive purposes, the puppet master of New Vegas, pulling every string upon every asset that he deems worthy. His vision isn't necessarily a bad one until you start to realize who the leadership of the vision is and what they want. House's vision for New Vegas is an autocracy where he holds absolute power. His disdain for democracy and desire to control every aspect of the city, even at the expense of personal freedoms, can be seen as tyrannical. House is highly manipulative, using people as pawns to achieve his goals. He recruits and controls the 3 families, turning them from raider tribes into his personal enforcers, often through coercion and intimidation. His decision to place himself in a life support device, effectively removing his physical presence from the world, shows a cold, calculating nature. He is willing to let others suffer or die if it means furthering his own goals. This includes his willingness to sacrifice people who don't align with his vision. With all that said, what happens to Mr. House? It once again depends on the Courier's action. Did the Courier join him and his pursuits, or did the Courier finally end the Puppet Master? My personal opinion is that the House ending will become the canon ending, and we will see the consequences of that in the Fallout TV show. Only time will tell.
Last and certainly not least, the Courier's mirror counterpart and most dangerous adversary, Ulysses. Ulysses was once a proud member of Caesar's Legion, a brutal and unforgiving force that sought to conquer the Mojave. However, he was not a man easily swayed by ideology alone. As he carried messages and packages across the wasteland, he saw the world for what it was, a tapestry of broken dreams and shattered societies. This was when he met the original Courier 6, the one who would later become his nemesis. Ulysses' journey took him to a place called the Divide, a seemingly insignificant stretch of land. There, he discovered a pre-war missile silo, a sleeping giant capable of untold destruction. The original Courier 6 had unknowingly delivered a package that awakened that monster, causing catastrophic earthquakes and releasing deadly radiation, transforming the Divide into a hellscape. Ulysses blamed Courier 6 for this devastation, seeing them as a symbol of the chaos brought upon the world by careless actions. Ulysses, a man of deep conviction, saw the Divide's destruction as a pivotal moment. He carried the flag of the old world on his back, a symbol of a united America that had long since crumbled. To him, this flag represented hope, resilience, and the possibility of rebirth. He began to believe that the Mojave could rise from its ashes, united under a single banner, free from the tyranny of both Caesar's Legion and the NCR. Haunted by the ghosts of his past and driven by a need for redemption, Ulysses followed a path that led him to confront Courier 6. This confrontation was not just about revenge. It was about challenging the very ideals and actions that led to the Divide's downfall. Ulysses believed that only through understanding and acknowledging the consequences of their actions could the wasteland's inhabitants avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. When Ulysses and Courier 6 finally faced each other, it was on the Lonesome Road, a journey fraught with peril and introspection. Ulysses spoke of history, of the mistakes of the old world, and the need for a new beginning. He was not merely an antagonist, but a prophet, warning of the dangers of blind allegiance and reckless ambition. The climax of their encounter hinged on a choice. Ulysses gave Courier 6 the opportunity to launch the remaining missiles, to bring about another apocalypse, or to deactivate them, sparing the wasteland from further destruction. It was a moment of reckoning, where the future of the Mojave hung in the balance. Ulysses believed that in making this choice, Courier 6 would either prove their worth or condemn the wasteland to endless suffering. Whether Ulysses met his end on the Lonesome Road or continued his journey through the wasteland, his legacy endured. He was a man who sought meaning in a world of chaos, who carried the weight of history on his shoulders, and who believed in the possibility of a better future. And so, the tale of Ulysses, the wandering courier, became a legend in the Mojave, a story told around campfires, a reminder of the thin line between destruction and redemption.
One would argue that the Institute as a whole are the main antagonists of Fallout 4, and I would say that you are right. But just like in New Vegas, we will focus on characters over factions. And as far as the Institute goes, there's only really one person that embodies the group's ideologies. In the sprawling ruins of post-apocalyptic Boston, amidst the crumbling remains of a once thriving metropolis, a new power was rising. This power was the Institute, a secretive organization hidden beneath the earth, and at its helm was a man known only as Father. The story of Father begins long before the bombs fell, with the birth of a child named Sean. He was the son of a soldier and a lawyer, living a peaceful life in Sanctuary Hills. But on that fateful day in 2077, the world changed forever. As the sirens blared and nuclear fire consumed the earth, Sean's parents fled to Vault 111, a supposed sanctuary from the apocalypse. Vault 111, however, harbored a sinister secret. It was a cryogenic facility. Sean's parents were frozen in time. The Institute, a technologically advanced organization, had abducted Sean, seeing in him the perfect subject for their experiments. Thus began Sean's life as a child of science, raised in the sterile underground halls of the Institute. As the years passed, Sean, now known as Father, proved to be a prodigious intellect. He rose through the ranks of the Institute, eventually becoming its leader. Father was a man of vision, believing that the Institute's advanced technology was the key to humanity's salvation. He sought to create a new world order, one where synthetic humans, synths, would play a crucial role. While Father was building his utopia, his biological parent, known in the wasteland as the sole survivor, emerged from Vault 111, driven by a desperate search for their lost son. This quest led the sole survivor through the dangers of the Commonwealth, from the ghoul-infested ruins of Boston to the treacherous strongholds of raiders. Little did they know, their journey would lead them to the very heart of the Institute. When the sole survivor finally confronted Father, it was a moment of profound revelation. The child they had lost was now a man, a leader of unparalleled ambition. Father revealed the truth of his upbringing and his grand vision for the future. He sought to persuade the sole survivor to join the Institute, to see the world as heated, a place where humanity's flaws could be overcome through technology. Father's vision, however, was not without controversy. The Institute's methods were ruthless, often disregarding the moral implications of their actions. They kidnapped and replaced people with synths, controlled the wasteland from the shadows, and viewed the surface dwellers as little more than obstacles. The sole survivor was faced with an ethical dilemma: support Father's vision and the Institute's questionable methods, or oppose him and fight for the freedom of the Commonwealth's inhabitants. The climax of this tale hinges on the sole survivor's choice. They could side with Father, embracing the Institute's vision of a controlled and technologically advanced future. Alternatively, they could lead the charge against the Institute, allying with factions like the Railroad or the Brotherhood of Steel to dismantle Father's dream. Whatever the decision, it would shape the fate of the Commonwealth for generations to come. Father's legacy is a complex one. To some, he is a visionary, a man who saw beyond the chaos of the wasteland and sought to create a new order. To others, he is a tyrant, whose disregard for individual freedom and ethical boundaries made him a threat to humanity's future.
And we can't mention the Institute and Father without mentioning the dog that does his dirty work. Similar to Frank Horgan, just a little less ruthless and freakish. Kellogg's journey began in the West, and more specifically the Boneyard. Born into a life marked by hardship and violence. Growing up in a turbulent environment, he quickly learned that strength and cunning were the keys to survival. As a mercenary, Kellogg carved out a reputation for being ruthless and efficient. His services were sought after by the highest bidders, from raiders to the most powerful factions. His cold, calculating nature made him the perfect enforcer, a man who could be relied upon to get the job done, no matter the cost. Kellogg's prowess did not go unnoticed by the enigmatic Institute, the secretive organization hidden beneath the Commonwealth. They saw in him the ideal agent for their most delicate and brutal operations. Kellogg accepted their offer, trading his autonomy for the resources and power the Institute could provide. One of Kellogg's most infamous assignments was the abduction of Sean, the infant son of the sole survivor from Vault 111. This mission was critical to the Institute's plans, and Kellogg executed it with his usual precision. murdering Sean's mother or father in cold blood and leaving the sole survivor for dead. This act of cruelty set in motion a series of events that would ultimately lead to his downfall. For years, Kellogg continued to serve the Institute, carrying out their will with brutal efficiency. He enjoyed the luxuries his position afforded him, including access to advanced technology that extended his life far beyond natural limits. While the wasteland aged and withered, Kellogg remained a constant and ageless enforcer with a heart as cold as steel. Unbeknownst to Kellogg, the sole survivor awakened from the cryogenic slumber, driven by a burning desire for vengeance and the desperate hope of finding their lost son. As the sole survivor cut a path through the Commonwealth, they encountered tales of Kellogg's deeds, each story a piece of the puzzle that would lead them to him. The inevitable confrontation between Kellogg and the sole survivor took place in Fort Hagen, a fortified complex that served as one of Kellogg's strongholds. It was here that the sole survivor confronted the man who had torn their life apart. The battle was fierce, a clash of wills and skills, but in the end, Kellogg was no match for the fury and determination of a parent seeking their child. With Kellogg's death, the sole survivor uncovered crucial information about the Institute and their operations. Kellogg's cybernetic implants held data that provided a direct link to the shadowy organization. This discovery would prove pivotal in the sole survivor's quest to infiltrate the Institute and rescue Sean. Kellogg's legacy is one of fear and respect. He was a man who thrived in a world without morals, where strength and brutality were the currencies of power. To some, he was a necessary evil, a man who did what needed to be done to maintain order in a chaotic world. To others, he was the embodiment of everything wrong with a post-apocalyptic society, a killer devoid of compassion, driven only by self-interest. In the end, Kellogg's story is a reminder of the choices one makes in the pursuit of power and survival. His actions left a trail of pain and death across the Commonwealth, but they also served as the catalyst for the sole survivor's journey, a path that would ultimately shape the future of the wasteland.
There is one other individual that I think deserves to be here, and I may be hard-pressed on this, but I'm confident that he is truly an antagonist in most circumstances, even if you join him. Arthur Maxon was born into a legacy of greatness. The Maxon lineage traced back to the very founding of the Brotherhood of Steel, and Arthur was expected to uphold that proud tradition. From a young age, Arthur shared extraordinary promise. His charisma, intellect, and combat prowess set him apart from his peers, marking him as a future leader. By the time Arthur was a teenager, he had already achieved what many seasoned soldiers only dreamed of. His rapid ascent through the ranks was not just due to his name, but to his unwavering dedication and skill. He quickly earned the respect of his comrades, proving himself in numerous skirmishes against raiders, mutants, and other threats that plagued the wasteland. As Arthur grew older, the challenges he faced grew more daunting. The Brotherhood of Steel was embroiled in conflicts on multiple fronts, and Arthur was often at the center of the action. His leadership was put to the test during the Brotherhood's campaigns against the super mutants in the capital wasteland. Under his command, the Brotherhood not only survived, but thrived, pushing back the mutant menace and securing vital resources. Arthur's crowning achievement came when he was named Elder of the Brotherhood of Steel, the youngest in its history. As Elder, he brought a new vision to the Brotherhood. He believed in the absolute necessity of reclaiming and preserving advanced technology, seeing it as the key to humanity's survival. However, his methods were often seen as extreme, and his stance on dealing with the wasteland's denizens was uncompromising. The Brotherhood's journey to the Commonwealth, where Fallout 4's story unfolds, was a bold and ambitious move. Under Elder Maxon's command, the Brotherhood established a formidable presence in the skies above Boston with the massive airship, the Pridwin. Maxon's goal was clear: to eradicate the Institute, an organization he viewed as the greatest threat to humanity due to their creation of synthetic human and their unethical experiments. He believed in the complete extermination of synths, seeing them as abominations that threatened the very fabric of human society. His speeches rallied the Brotherhood's soldiers, instilling in them a fervor and a sense of purpose that drove them to great lengths. Despite his successes, Arthur Maxon was a polarizing figure. To his followers, he was a hero, a paragon of the Brotherhood's ideals. But to others, especially those sympathetic to the plight of the synths and the people of the Commonwealth, he was a tyrant. His uncompromising stance and willingness to use force to achieve his goals drew both admiration and ire. The climax of Maxon's story in Fallout 4 hinges on the player's decisions. The sole survivor, a key figure in the battle for the Commonwealth, has the power to ally with or oppose Maxon and the Brotherhood. If the player chooses to support the Brotherhood, they help Maxon lead a decisive assault on the Institute, cementing his legacy as a savior of humanity. However, If the player opposes him, they face the daunting task of taking down the Brotherhood and its mighty leader. Regardless of the player's choices, Arthur Maxon's impact on the Wasteland is undeniable. His fierce determination and unwavering commitment to the Brotherhood's cause left an undeniable mark on the history of the Commonwealth. He was a leader who embodied the harsh realities of the post-apocalyptic world, a man who believed that survival sometimes required harsh measures, and that the ends often justified the means. Arthur Maxon's story is one of ambition, power, and the fine line between heroism and tyranny. To some, he was the last great hope for a broken world, a knight in shining power armor leading his people to a brighter future. To others, he was a ruthless autocrat, a man who would stop at nothing to achieve his vision, even if it meant trampling over the lives of those who stood in his way.
Almost all of the men in this video share something: vision. They all believe that their way is the best way and are willing to achieve this by any means necessary. But when you put it that way, and you look at all the protagonists and heroes in the Fallout series, couldn't we then say the same for them? These men and women all have their own ideas and agendas, and who's to say who is right or wrong? Who is the hero and who is the antagonist? It's a question for philosophers, I guess. Also, I know that there are other figures from the games that you may say are major antagonists, mostly from DLCs, like this guy or this guy, and don't think I forgot Joshua. But many of these figures are left to their own stories and narratives.
Still haven't found what you're looking for? Why? It's here, in the messages. I'm showing you plainly, just look. The storm is bitter, and August is your only saving grace. It needs the code, the message. Find it, and